What is up, everyone? What is up? What is up? How is everyone doing on this fine hump day? Yeah. I got new toys. I got news. We've got updates. If you've been in the Discord or the Matrix server, you already know the news. So, I was told of a way a while ago, and I finally remembered how to do it, to get Discord and Matrix servers bridged. So, for a long time, I've self-hosted a Matrix server that people can chat on. I have it hosted in Europe. I pay for it. And then I have the Discord server. Now, of course, the Discord server is like about 10 times larger. Just the nature of the beast. There's far more Discord users than there are Matrix users. But I also noticed there were people that, favored one platform over the other, as naturally would be done. Some people are going to be on Discord and refuse to make a Matrix. Some people be on Matrix, refuse to use Discord, or vice versa, whatever. And they were kind of becoming their own two separate communities. So, I bridged the two of them. So the way this works is there is a bot that is hosted in the community called T2Bot. And it has its hiccups. There are some delays with the way that this works, but we have something to take down the Berlin Wall. So let me get this in front of y'all. So if we go into my general chat, I'll put this on the screen right now. So if you notice, we have Discord on the left, and we have Matrix Element on the right. Do you notice the chats are the same? If you talk on Matrix, it should go over to Discord. If you talk on Discord, it should go over to Matrix. Now, the only thing we found that doesn't carry over is reactions to posts. And it works interestingly well. So the way that I figured out how this bot is working is when you actually communicate from Discord. Let me scroll up for a bit. There's some other ones here, because some people actually have discovered Matrix through the post. And they're like, hey, I'm going to make an account and I'm playing with it. There we go. If we look at this post right here, this Discord _ long string of numbers dot T2, no, not dot, colon T2bot.io. So I think they have their own Matrix server that they're hosting in their own domain. And they're creating an alias, basically, for everyone on Discord to be able to communicate through. Now, you'd have to enable this to work, and you have to be, like, the guild admin. So it's not like somebody can just, swoop into your, server and do this. And you can have as many channels as you want connected. But it's one Discord, bridge per, what you call it? Matrix channel. So we're going to have a few other channels also synced up. The idea here is basically so we're not going to have, the silos of Matrix users and Discord users, but we're also going to have the advantage of, well, I'm in cybersecurity, CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Well, if Discord goes down or decides to, F up, I have the Matrix server. I believe once you get to used to a platform, it won't be easy to move to somewhere else. Yeah, but the problem is you gotta unfortunately embrace that as the reality of what's gonna happen if you stay on the internet. Is you're gonna have to move between various different platforms. I remember MySpace. Then Facebook. Deleted my Facebook 5 years ago. Now I'm trying to make a Facebook account so that I can get back and make a Facebook page and monetize my Instagram account. They keep deleting and, well, permanently disabling the accounts that I make. Like, with my face and a name. And then it has me, like, always, after a few days, it's fine. And then it always will go through the step of, we need to prove that you're actually a human. Okay? And it, like, has you do the whole scan, you move your head in random directions. Pass that, send that, still permanently disabled. Every goddamn time. And I've tried this several different ways. I've tried it from laptops, phones, tried it in different locations. Maybe, like, it's something with the IP I have. Who knows? Whatever. Your resiliency director would be so proud of me. Yeah. They should be. People should have backups. Well, they shouldn't be proud. They should just be, this is the words. This should be the expectation. Is it possible to hack NASA? I mean, it's possible to hack anything. Now, the difference is capability is a whole different thing. Because you do have to find exploits. We may not know what the exploits currently are that are there. There may be, you know, things lying in wait that have yet to be revealed into the entire world. But yeah. Google does the same thing. Use AI to write up a dispute. But yeah, also don't F with NASA. Everything is encrypted today. It's extremely difficult. Encryption doesn't really have too much to do with the ability to hack something or not, because that's just really the difference between whether you're able to access the data. And not every single business, not every single cyber attack cares about accessing the data. Sometimes they just want to lock out the data. That's what we call...
Ghost is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow. That's what we call ransomware. They don't give a hell what your files are. They don't necessarily have a copy of your files in most cases. They're just literally locking your files up for ransom, and you get a decryption key. Access. This is why I am controls over the access of data. Yep. And let me put it this way. In most cases, I do encryption at rest with my disks. Because I also go under the presumption of, if God forbid this laptop ever does, like, say, get stolen, my data is the more precious thing. Maybe they'll go and decrypt it. Unlikely, it's Lux. But they're probably just after the hardware for the money. I'm not important enough for people to care about what's on my laptop. Unless you care about boring schoolwork, you know, from WGU and some random scratches of notes strewn about of random various disconnected things. And finances stuff, like taxes. And my budgets. Boring adult shit. One of my ex-girlfriends was actually shocked when she went on my computer and actually saw there was no adult content on this computer. Or either one of them. Or any of the laptops she touched or anything. She's like, what the hell? And I'm like, look, if I want to watch that stuff, that's all over the internet. I can get that anywhere. Why do I need to fill my hard drive up? I got enough crap to load that up with all the other data and source code and programs and games and... She didn't check the NAS. Okay, technically you're not wrong, because that is also a backup of my phone, so... Look, I can't help it that there are things on the phone. You know, consenting adults send things, shall we say. Nextcloud. Yeah, I like Nextcloud. I got a question in a green software dev. What are some things that I should be wary of, and would you be willing to test my site offline or online? I'm not really so much as a pen test or anything. That'd be one of my buddies. He might do it. But I think he's also pretty busy. You can actually use a tool. Let me learn you something right here. So this is a tool I actually learned about recently at Hackers Teaching Hackers, and it's totally free. You could use this. So if you go to projectdiscovery.io, you get access to this. And here's the cool thing. They have a pay-as-you-go model over here. Like, this is... Hold on, this is something different for their pricing. If you wanted to do for teams and enterprises. But this is open. Like, this is open. I have my website actually on their platform where I can sign in. It's Project Discovery Cloud that I'm talking about, by the way. Neo is their AI penetration testing tool. You don't really need to worry about that so much right now. It's a cool thing. I played with it a little bit. I was in one of their workshops, but you don't need to worry about that if you're just a beginner. It's cool to know about, though. But yeah, the cloud is what you're going to be looking at. And what it basically can do is you point your website at it, and then it'll just crawl the entire domain. Like, it's gonna spider web out and find everything that you have open at and hit all the subdomains and everything. Yep, projectdiscovery.io. Totally great tool. It's used by so many in cybersecurity to the point Project Discovery actually is the back end for a lot of the other security tools that say, oh, we're doing this exact same feature. They're using their services. And you'll see that because there's different, endpoints you can use for it and everything. But yeah, you can use this, and then they have the whole AI with nuclei, which is really, really cool. Well, nuclei, I think, is just templates, and then you can use nuclei templates with the AI system. But yeah, they have some really cool stuff. Go check out Project Discovery if you want to, start poking at your website. I would say, your basics. Sanitize your, inputs. Encrypt all the TLS stuff. And, encrypt at rest when possible. Hash and salt your passwords. Don't ever do it plain text, the usuals. And also, keep up with your patching. At least maintain a monthly cadence of patching to the latest security updates. And you have to pay attention also to, because as your software developer, the specific libraries that you're using. So this is where you want to learn about DevSecOps, CI/CD, that kind of thing. There's a couple of tools that you can use here. So Project Discovery is you have a live website, right? Then we have Sneak.io over here, which is great for checking out your source code. And I actually have it tied in to my GitHub, that if you ever go into my GitHub, you'll actually see in the PRs and everything, there's a step that Sneak actually checks it. So it's really great for that. You can catch some issues and vulnerabilities and stay on top of it. And you can even have it do little things like, so as you can see, I have some updates over here. This is Dependabot that is doing all of these little PRs. Basically, these are dependencies that are, there's newer versions, not necessarily anything wrong with them, just, keeping it up to date. I gotta maintain some of my software. Eventually, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a powerful enough local LLM and then an AI agent to direct all of that on its own VLAN. And what I'm gonna have it do is basically become an automated maintainer of my systems with a local LLM. And you can do it with some decent local ones. But yeah, also Sneak can do the same and see, look, it made a PR. Sneak has created this PR to fix 8 vulnerabilities in the pip dependencies of this project. So this is what Snick can offer. Stay on top of it. Does weekly scanning of free open source projects. But yeah. Supposed to be patching. Yes! Don't make me bring the flail of Ethernet cables. How much VRAM? For what? Oh, the VRAM for my stuff is probably going to be 128 gigabytes of VRAM. Well, it's just unified memory, really. Per box. No, it's not a Mac. And I'm probably going to tie together 3, maybe 4 of them together. So that would be what? 128, 56, 384, is that right? Don't I? Yeah, 384. Why was I doubting myself? And 512. For some reason, I know what it is. Because in my head, I always counted in exponents of 2, because you do that a lot in tech. So it's the interval kind of threw me off. Because it's like, I know it's going to be like 1024, 2048, 4096, 8192, 16384. Like that. But anyway, that is CICD in a nutshell. And we got some other toy, be doing powers of 2. Well, I was trying to figure out the VRAM, and my brain went stupid. How to make money by being dangerous in IT. What to leverage. How to community tool maintainer make. How do community, how much do? Hey, thank you for the 100 biddies. Draco, thank you for that. Appreciate you. Happy hacking, bud. Did it say anything? No, it just 100 bits. Okay. I was wondering if it because sometimes you can put messages in there and the printer will come out with that too. I think I passed the last round of interviews. Cybersecurity engineer, high five. Hey! We'll pop the bottle once you actually get confirmation. How about that? Any good project ideas? My GitHub looks so bland. See, the problem is, any GitHub project ideas that I come up with, I'm immediately going to start doing myself. Like my project right now I'm working on is an AI-powered Discord bot that can do local LLM, using a local LLM or possibly use the cloud. Good taste in office jersey, the same one. Yeah, the Herman Miller Aeron. Awesome. Hey, Elixia, how's it going, bud? See your comment. Long time no see, buddy. I'm doing well. What tools help with red team studying, like project discovery? I'm not too deep into the red team side. I have friends that do that in the Discord and Matrix communities, which you can find in the links in bio. And the Discord and Matrix communities as of today are bridged. So if you go to the Discord or the Matrix community, in most cases, well, at least the general chat right now, you'll see the same things. They're gonna happen on more channels over time as I decide them. But yeah. Your main Git project right now is rebranding a Stout self-host. Stout. May abandon it though. We'll see how terrible modifying. That's the one problem is, you know, you get ADHD and you're like, I don't want to do that. Hey, can I ask what's your opinion with this whole building Jarvis thing? It's just people doing Jarvis like Tony Stark had. Look, the second AI became popular, we all knew that was the, you know, inevitable progression of things to come. That we were going to have to be dealing with, oh, everyone's going to be making Jarvis. Even I joked about, I want to make an AI bot. But I was like, everyone else wants to go Jarvis. I wanted to name him Jeeves, so I can ask Jeeves. If you get that joke, you are old like me and experience back pain. Stout equals Revolt chat rebrand. Vote Revolt chat. Oh, it's a Discord alternative. Yeah, the problem with like all these alternatives to Discord that I keep seeing is they just repeat the same problem. Because if you remember what was there before Discord, we had TeamSpeak, IRC, and other, you know, platforms, AOL Instant Messenger, you name it. We've had so many different things over the years, all right? You chat, you can just throw a dozen more in there I probably didn't even name. You'll just be adding to the point. What is the core problem is all of those platforms have pretty much been centrally controlled and maintained. So what happens is you get these bad actors or the technology doesn't keep up with things and, you know, the nature of things, all right? And eventually another company, you know, steps up. Same cycle repeats. They get in shitified. So on and so forth. Give it to the community. And that's where Matrix comes in. The Matrix protocol is an open source protocol, and then I use Element on top of it for the GUI in my phone and on my computers and stuff. And we also have encrypted chat and stuff. One sec, I'm just responding to someone. Okay, sorry. Anyway, back to the stream. Friend stuff. None of your business. What's your opinion on Cisco? Cisco is just living on their name at this point. And why does everyone have to spam my chat? I need to, like, figure out... Can you, like, rate limit chat? Like, have a slow chat? I need to set that up. Figure that out. How can I do that? Is the Matrix Federation on by default? I think it is, but you can optionally disable it. Like in the European Union, a lot of governments actually are already using Matrix because they can self-host it. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I got some new toys. So I picked this guy up from Covert Instruments. I was curious about this little lockpick over here. It's actually a nice little set. So this is the, what, Covert... What is this? The Covert Companion Pro. So we've got like a comb, and we got a dimple pick over here. Little turner over there. Now, what was also cool was this set you can replace. So I actually used the McNally pick set over here because I liked his set of picks. I actually like him so much. I have a standalone set over here. And you can swap this set out, and there's like a few more. And they just like click right in. And then we have these lockpick sets over this part, lockpick pieces over here. We got the tensioners, we've got the various kinds of picks, rakes, whatever you need. All that there. And then we also have at the top here, this one's the bitchiest to get out. For some reason, mine does not like to come out. There we go. So all sorts of little tools and shims and whatever I'll need. Well, not really so much shims, but we got that. And then we got the McNally lockpick set here. And these came from Covert Instruments. I keep wanting to call it like Covert Affairs, the TV show, for some reason. But yeah, you got different turners here, and you've got 5 picks here that I think are pretty decent, even for starters. And then you get the case and a patch on top. So you can replace the patch if you want, but that is the Lock Reaper of McNally. So yeah, I'm not retiring my current lockpick set, which is the Sparrows set that I have here. I just needed something a little bit more robust and on the go. And that's this, because the small little one I have is alright in most cases, but I like how McNally got sued because he called folks out having crappy products with misleading advertisements. Oh yeah, I love it, and then I love the way he rebuffs it. Orders product, goes to Amazon Locker, opens Amazon Locker, all video unedited, with the, you know, the box, opens it up, like, basically just pounds a Liquid Death can just right there, cuts the Liquid Death can over, open, shims the fucker in, and then just like, it was like all like within like a minute and a half, 2 minutes or something like that. Like, you didn't even have to edit it. Like, here's the thing. Cybersecurity people and lock-picking, locksmith, locksport type people, they're not the type that generally want to go out and just F you over. Now, not saying there aren't bad people out there in this profession. We all know there are, but the majority are out there because, hey, we actually see a problem and we want to fix it, or we want to know how we can secure against it. And everyone in the world is still looking for the unpickable lock. Lockpicking is a great party trick, by the way. Highly recommend. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially if one of my friends happens to get stuck in a chastity belt again. At least now I'll be armed and ready. So there was a funny story about that. One of my friends got himself in a chastity belt. I'm never letting him live that one down. He had to go for the ER for that one. Was the chastity belt an Everlast brand? Mel Brooks needs to know. What context am I missing? Oh, we're talking about lockpicks. I got some new lockpicks. That would be a really awkward thing to walk in on. Lockpicks are totally safe for work. And you're not my mom. But yeah, so we got... There's just context you're missing. If you want to see it, you'll probably see it clipped here from YouTube or Twitch. If not by some of my mods, I probably will be picking it up when Opus does the second pass of the stream. No, hearing your friend with the chastity belt issue. Well, that's not what I was saying. I was in it. I just said he happened to get stuck in one. And now I have lockpicks. So if I am ever asked again, can I help out? My answer isn't necessarily going to be go to the ER. Well, probably still will be, because I ain't touching that shit. You do plan to get a lockpicking set at DEF CON? Cool. Usually Sparrows is there. They have great lockpicks. I like Sparrows. Tool with 3 O's. Tool.io. I think it's IO. They do it out there too. They actually were the ones that made my very, very first lockpicking set I bought, and somewhere around here, I still like that set. There's going to be plenty of tables. But I will be honest with you, buying a lockpicking set is probably the best idea, because what ends up happening is we may run short on tensioners or picks or locks, even in some cases. The other thing I will tell you to do, buy a practice lock set. You're going to want several locks. You're going to want first a clear acrylic lock. Sparrows sells all these, by the way, so go to Sparrows. If they don't have them at the show, get them online. Tool might have some, but anyway. Get a clear acrylic lock. It'll let you visualize the actual pins, because it's clear. You're seeing the whole entire action of the mechanism. Get a progressive lock set. And that's a set that goes from 2 to 5 pins, and that way you can up the difficulty of picking each. Then after that, you're going to want to look at, the different types of pins. There's like a half a dozen or a dozen different ones. I don't remember all of them. There's like, you have your plain regular pins, but then you also have serrated and, false set ones and all these other things. And you'll learn a lot about locks along the way. And also, if you like to give yourself a nice little tinkering challenge, and it's a nice fidget toy, this right here is the revolver from Sparrows. This is a lock I've, for the most part, kind of worn out. It's kind of rough, and I can feel it. You can't really hear it, but I can feel it. Every time it hits the lock, it's just like scratched up. So it's a little bit harder to pick and turn. Just because I've used this for I think this is 2 years old. I think. Maybe a year and a half. Either way. I've used it a lot as a fidget toy. And the cool thing about the revolver is this is 4 locks in one unit. So the idea is you can keep picking and picking and picking, and you can even set 4 different styles, 4 different configurations, and it comes with pins and springs and all that for you to retool it yourself. How hard is it to get a set to pass TSA? I have not been stopped yet for a lockpicking set. So the rule of thumb when it comes to TSA and tools, and I've tested this with a few dozen tools, and I've gotten quite a few confiscated. It cannot be more than 7 inches in total length. What I mean by that is, you have this Wera screwdriver set. Great screwdriver, love this guy. It's a good everyday carry one. It has all the bits, all right? Obviously, this is less than 7 inches, although a lot of men out there are going like, what are you talking about? That looks like 8 inches to me. But anyway, once you put the actual bit on that it comes with, that's longer than 7 inches. Now, because of that, it is fully against the TSA. It doesn't matter if it's apart. It's because of the totality. Now, here's the dumb thing when it comes to TSA. There is no goddamn consistency. You can fly out of one airport and be given treatment in one way, fly out of another and been treated entirely different in another. What I mean by that is, what was this, DEF CON 31? I think it was my first DEF CON. My first DEF CON, yeah, it was my first DEF CON, because this is the reason why I got into the looking for tools that actually pass the TSA. Okay, so my first DEF CON, I had a Cobalt screwdriver that I really liked. It was a dual action one of the first gen ones, like the really, really, really good solid ones, not the plastic shit they have now that I stay away from. But anyway, put that in my bag, thinking nothing of it, because I didn't really think. I'm just like, hey, it's a tool, throw it in the bag. I knew well enough about when it comes to firearms, put those in checked baggage. But anyway, screwdrivers in the backpack, and not suntan lotion, sunblock. You know, moisturizing sunblock, because it's Vegas, all right? Big old thing of it, right? I fly out, no problem. Mind you, I'm also TSA pre-check. So if you're like, oh, it's because, you know, you got to get the pre-check or that. No, I'm pre-check, all right? So I already keep my shoes on and everything. I got the less stringent check-through, all right? Then I fly out at the end of DEF CON from Vegas to go back home. TSA then confiscates my screwdriver and that moisturizing sunblock. The same exact ones I flew out of my hometown with. That's what annoys me with the TSA, is there is zero consistency. So despite them saying one thing, you can do another. I've even seen it when it comes to firearms and ammunition. I've seen it for so many different things that don't make sense. Okay? There is no consistency. And that's ironic, because it's supposed to be a federal agency. I know for damn sure FBI office in, Florida is operating the same ways as Virginia, with difference of geography and stuff. You get my point. How is the TSA not doing this? Do you use Linux only? No, I have some Windows devices. I only have 2 Windows devices, but I have them. TSA workers just love the power. They're also not paid shit, to be honest. So, remember it this way. On one hand, alright? On one hand, I feel bad for a lot of the TSA workers, because a lot of them are just doing a job they want to get by. Alright? We all know there are asshole TSA workers, but there are assholes in every profession. Alright? It's the TSA, like, leadership and management that's effing up, obviously. That's why there's no consistency. And also, when has the TSA ever stopped a attack? It's all security theater. They've done analyses and audits of TSA multiple times, and to my knowledge, there's not a single one they haven't failed miserably. Like, dude, I'm not saying it on here, I'm just gonna tell you the stories of shit that I've heard some of the people I know get away with. And I'm like, the hell? Nothing illegal. Just like, technically it was against TSA rules. But that's why there's no consistency. Not appreciating, not attending this year, but appreciate the Signal Gate stickers. Ah, you're very welcome. I'm glad you got my stickers. I have a whole new set of 5 new designs this year. I'll be handing them out like motherfuckers. What's up, little killer? But yeah, you can smuggle a Chick-fil-A sandwich to the Middle East. Ask me how I know. Why would you smuggle a Chick-fil-A sandwich to the Middle East? Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Chick-fil-A. They're good chicken, all right? I'm not hating on that aspect. I'm asking why you would need to smuggle one to the Middle East. Because, Habibi, my brother, I'm telling you, they have chicken there too, you know that. And I'm gonna tell you this. The chicken in the Middle East way better than Chick-fil-A chicken. Ooh, yeah. Some of the best barbecue I ever had was in Morocco. Literally walk up to the butcher counter, just start pointing at the meat you want, he throws it right on the grill. And I had Rocky Mountain oysters in Morocco. Now, chat, do you know what Rocky Mountain oysters are? And yes, I did know what they are going into this, just to be clear. Yup, they're bull nuts. And let me tell you this. Look, it was not the taste of the Rocky Mountain oysters or the bull's balls that was the problem. They actually tasted good. It was just the texture. It was way too chewy and gamey. Okay? But I will tell you, the rest of that freaking cow, delicious. Just to be clear, this fat never came from eating that kind of junk food. It came from filling up too much on ribs and steak and not working out enough. Don't worry, I get my cholesterol checked and everything. I'm good. Yes, I earned this gut. See, I now work out more so I can eat more. There's motivation. Literally dangling that carrot in front of me, except it's brisket. Maybe goat. Y'all ever had goat? Goat is the goat. We're going to be talking about the spider guy in a second. Spider guy in a second. Don't worry. That's been on the docket. Because we do have the review on stream stuff and everything. And I think that was one of the things that we actually needed to talk about. But just goofing around. Did we cover that? Could have sworn somebody put that in. Anyway, I knew that was something I wanted to talk about. But Not enough kosher food. Like, I like goat, but fresh lamb is lit. Oh, lamb is great. Deer is great. I've had deer. Deer is amazing. The problem with deer is it's one of the hardest meats to locate unless, you're out and a hunter, or you're in certain parts of the country that have access to those cuts of meat regularly. Because otherwise, when you're in the city, you mostly just get, deer, venison jerky at best. You never say no to brisket and salmon. Salmon's great, too. I will never say no to fish. Except catfish. Can't have catfish. Or shellfish. Not allergic, just a religious thing. But I will never say no to a brisket. But yeah, so the scattered spider guy. Okay, so this clown... The scattered spider guy is the prime example of how I keep telling everybody that a VPN is overhyped. There's way more to privacy and anonymity than just depending on a tool. And it's a holistic approach. You gotta rethink everything. Remember, I've been saying for years, privacy and anonymity is not a tool, it is a mindset. Okay? Do my shirts run true to size? I believe they do. They fit me pretty well. This isn't one of them. This is one of the ones I bought from DEF CON. But anyway, hold on, let me get the AI, not the AI, the scattered spider story up here so I can make sure that I am getting my information right. Okay, was this it? No, let's get an actual, like, cybersecurity one that'll... Alright, so, let's talk about this. So, alleged long-standing member of Scattered Spider, extradited to U.S., Peter Stokes boasted on social media about the luxurious globetrotting life he enjoyed while he was still a child. Wait, wasn't the guy 19 years old? Well, 19 is not really a... I mean, it's still kind of a kid to me, but it's not a kid legally, so... But anyway, cybercrime ring of young native English-speaking speakers infiltrated me, making them a 100 million alien. As we know, the Scattered Spider, they've been kind of prolific. I mean, they definitely were large enough that CrowdStrike even gave them that name, and then they actually sold little action figures of them. They actually do that of a lot of the most, the largest threat actors. CrowdStrike has a swag shop. Is this the dude that was found via Windows hardware ID? Yup! That's, I think, the same... Yep, that's him. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I want to find... Krebs might actually have it. Transport to London... Purchase a million, blah, 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 blah... According to prosecutors, Jubair, whatever, co-ran a bustling Telegram channel called StarChat, the home of a SIM swapping group that used voice and SMS-based phishing attacks, blah, 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 blah. So apparently, what? No, these are not the same guys, are they? No, that's not the... Who was the one that was caught by the Windows hardware ID? That was Peter, wasn't it? Yeah. Why can't the articles actually, like, there we go. They're burying the lead in these stories. Okay, so, yeah. As we've talked about for years, in my, content, in my streams, we've had people come to me asking me, what tool can I use for privacy? Or, you've heard people for years talk about how VPNs, hide you from, legal whatever, or that. Basically, VPNs have been oversold for years. Now, I'm not saying they're not a security tool. In the right context, they are. They are a useful tool when you understand what the tool is actually good at and where its limitations lie. Privacy and anonymity, as we've discussed, is a mindset. It is a philosophy, a lifestyle, rather than a tool. It is the conscientious decision over everything you are doing to hand over your data. That is privacy. Anonymity is nobody knows about you. Now, privacy and anonymity are often the concepts that do overlap, as we discussed, but they are two separate things. With that understanding, people think that VPNs make you anonymous and all of that. But the whole thing about OPSEC, operational security, is you have to think holistically about your threat model. The fact that this clown was still using Windows 11. Like, dude, there is a reason why people argue about Microsoft Windows telemetry. And it really would blow my mind if someone that isn't at least this, prolific in cybersecurity, news and everything, doesn't know what Linux is. And I know most of the tactics they do are usually social engineering and stuff. I know that's the number one tactic every, attacker pretty much does. Got it. So would you rather use Linux for privacy? Linux is basically a necessity if you wanted to actually be truly private. Windows completely snitches on you. You should have used VMs like Tails or even another PC for Black Hat. Well, yeah, different PC. The honest truth is, all right. Do you remember when I made the statement, nobody here really needs to worry about using Tails. You don't need to use Tails to access the darknet. And if you ever actually find a reason to be using Tails, you usually have bigger problems because the government's going after you, like Edward Snowden. This is another one of those situations. The difference is this is a malicious one. Now, some people could argue that Edward Snowden stole state secrets from the government, that whatever. It's the intent of things. Edward Snowden did it because this was data and information that the United States populace had a right and entitlement to actually know about. These guys were just breaking in companies. But this showcases that tools themselves are not evil, it's the intent behind them. So, yeah, anyway. Under what artifact is this enriched? This is just a unique fingerprint. So, basically, if I remember what this is, I'm trying to remember. Is the GDID basically your ad code? Hold on. I'm trying to see. Do they have... This is one of the few things I don't know too much about. It's a unique identifier assigned to every Windows install that tracks device-specific telemetry. It's the reason why sometimes changing a major component in your PC can revoke your Windows license. Anyhow, the court document... Okay, so... That's what's going on here. So I didn't know that. I knew Windows sent telemetry. I didn't know about that part. So, like I said, Windows is a little snitch. So, yeah. Dude. This is... But this goes to show you the level of skill that these people have compared to the defenses they were going up against. And I'm gonna be honest, if somebody that can get caught because they're... When a script kiddie is way ahead of you using Kali Linux and, pretending they're some elite hacksaw, and they're even more, in a better position than you, that's bad. That's just basically what I'm saying here. I don't know what else I can say about this. What do you think about escrow encryption? Kill it with fire. There's a reason why FIPS 185 is deprecated. Money now, no one can eat. Getting money in the dick, I'm even can when I sleep. Wake up to getting bread, bitch, I do this for the streets. ADHD.
Magic Mike 01 just gifted subs to 5 penguins.
Hey, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate that. And yeah, so if you got a sub thanks to DJ Magic Mike, say thank you. Also, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Thank you again for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, so FIPS 185 was escrowed key encryption. This is actually one of the reasons why I didn't care for Hillary Clinton. Hold up! Before you, go away, let me explain. So FIPS 185 was this escrowed key encryption standard that they were trying to push for in the 1990s. Basically, the idea was that you could have your encryption, and then the government could get access to a key that could be escrowed in case we ever needed access to that. The problem with that idea is that, well, I do lockpicking, for example, as we know. If you have a key to a lock, that means, with the right technique and tactic, I too can open this lock without having the key. I can make it more difficult, potentially, like this is a 6-pin lock. This will actually take me probably, on average, so far I've gotten it down to 10 minutes to pick this. But this is a rather difficult lock intentionally. It's a fidget, 4 locks. Anyway. It was so bad that NIST eventually did decommission that standard. It's no longer approved even by the U.S. government. And Hillary Clinton, when she was a senator, was pushing for escrowed key encryption. This was all the what was it, the Clipper chip, I think was what they were calling. Let me make sure I'm not confusing, because I may be confusing it with the TV technology at the time. Clipper chip. Yeah, Clipper chip was one of the things that she was actually a proponent of. And that was developed by the National Security Agency as an encryption device that secured voice and data messages with a built-in backdoor. Yeah. This was around the whole, discussions around that, and I remember she was one of the people pushing for that. This is also one of the reasons why I'm not the,
Computer Savvy
biggest
is now
fan.
chilling in the lab.
And let me be clear, I'm not a fan of Trump either with the way he's handled documents and everything, okay? I've been clear on that. If anyone wants to argue with me on that, I have a 3-part series on Signalgate. The first one was like a freaking expose comparing Obama's BlackBerry incident, Hillary Clinton's email server, and Donald Trump's multiple flubs with the documents in Mar-a-Lago, all that. So I will say, yes, Hillary Clinton stuck with data security. I'll agree with that. But it's a matter of, Donald Trump is, absolutely gutterball in terms of good for security. Which is better in computer IT or computer science? Doesn't really matter. It's just a checkbox for a degree. Don't worry so much on the actual degree that you're getting as the just the checkbox you're achieving. And to prove that point, I want you to go to Indeed and LinkedIn and all those different job sites. Look up the positions that you hope to enter when you enter the job field. Notice that a lot of those fields are not going to ask for a specific degree. It's going to be like IT, system administration, cybersecurity, risk and assurance, or related fields. Like kind of like that kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? Or related fields. So don't focus too much on, oh, I have to get this degree for this career path. To give you an idea, my dad, he worked on the Hubble Space Telescope when he was in the United States Air Force, also did tech out there, laser research, and then went into IT managed service provider. Okay? You know what his degree was? Mathematics and engineering. You can change whatever you want in your life. And to give you an idea as well, just to tell you how little that degree really matters. Not the degree really matters. That's a bad way to phrase it. But the choice of the degree that you're making matters. Because I'm in the middle of going for my bachelor's right now, and I've been in the field 15 years as a cybersecurity engineer. Well, not at that entire, but IT and cybersecurity. 15 years combined. I'm finishing my bachelor's, hopefully, this year. So, it's a checkbox. Your certs, your degrees, they're a checkbox. Don't stress out about it. Just look at it that way. Don't think about, oh, I didn't get this, I am now going to fail and my life is a failure. No, it doesn't work out. It won't. I know pen testers that have pen tested Fortune 500 companies who don't even have a high school degree or diploma. Not saying that is possible for everyone. It's very improbable, but I'm saying it's possible. You're about 12 years in IT and cyber as well, tough road? Yeah. Got Proton all set and learning Docker slowly. Networking just went Unify. Nice. Unify is pretty nice. I don't care for the gateway, though, but it's not that they're bad gateways. It's just that I like PF Sense's feature set or capabilities a little bit more. Yeah, if you read TikTok below your vids, got me into networking in my own home lab. Nice. Chief going to tell us he was the admin for Moroccans rocking for Trump. Wait, was that a thing? I'm now curious, if that was actually a thing, because that's a meme I'm gonna have to make. How am I playing on Linux? OBS exists, bro. Technically, it's running on a Windows machine right now, but the flow I have could work on Linux. I have the Linux machine over here as the second PC it's capturing on the Windows PC. I just haven't had the time to sit down and F around with Elgato hardware and how it'll work on Linux and the capture cards. I don't think it's more an issue of capability, it's more an issue of I have so many damn projects I'm trying to do right now, and that's the least concern of my worries. Heard about PF Sense, so you set it up as your router? Yup. That is my router and firewall for the entire network. It handles all the segmentation and VLANing of my different networks. It even combines my wireless, my cell backup. I have a 5G cell backup and a primary cable internet provider. So if the primary ever goes down, the cell kicks in within 5-10 seconds. to the point I barely notice it unless I'm in a connection that actually required that direct pipe, and then I have to reconnect. But yeah. What does OBS have to do with playing games? Oh, playing, because I'm streaming. I mean... I'm talking. But playing games, I mean, you've kind of been late to the party, but Valve has this thing called Steam, and they released this entire computer called the Steam Machine, and they also released an entire handheld called the Steam Deck. You might have heard of them. And they all come pre-shipped with Linux. Valve has done a shit ton of amazing work to get Linux working with gaming. What distro of Linux you recommend for OSINT? It's not really any distribution that's one better than the other. Pick a distribution you actually like the workflow of and the user interface and user experience of, and install the tools that you actually need. And when you're talking about OSINT, you're probably talking about stuff like Maltego frameworks and stuff like that. So. Your Steam machine is Windows wireless. Either you're trolling, or somebody did that for you. Lord David. What are you using for self failover? So, T-Mobile has a very inexpensive failover plan. This was before Mint came out with Minternet, so they're both options. Basically just T-Mobile backends. T-Mobile has a backup-only plan for 150 gigabytes a month for $20 a month. Okay? They give you the modem, $20 a month, ACH transfer per month. That's it. That's fine because it's a backup internet. I'm only expecting it to maybe go down a few days a year. At most. Now, Mint has Minternet. They have the same exact modem. No shit, like, you'll get it and put it side by side. It's the same thing. Same exact setup. I could literally move over to Minternet, unplug the antenna that I put outside, and plug it into the new one. It would work the same way. I wouldn't have to change a damn thing. Not on my firewall, and not on my antenna, and not a thing. But anyway, Minternet has an unlimited internet plan. I want to say that's like $30 a month. So it's a difference of $10 if you want $10 a month, or $120 a year when you break it down. Of, do you want to do 150 gigabytes per month available if your internet goes down, or do you want completely unlimited? In most cases, I checked my usage, and it's like, dude, if my internet goes down for a day or two, I'm perfectly fine. There's a tattoo on my right arm. Oh, the hacker dude? Yeah, I got that at GurCon because I was like 5 beers in at GurCon. And when I was at GurCon last year, which is a great Midwest cybersecurity conference, by the way. Met some of you people. It was great. We had a good time. But GurCon offered you free beer. I'm a sucker for stout. I had 5 of those frickers. Now, here's the other problem. This was the only cybersecurity conference I've been to that one of the vendor booths was a local tattoo artist. And they had this thing. So if you signed up on a list, like they would just text you, available, you pick a tattoo, like a pre-selected one, pay them, and you get a tattoo. 5 beers in, I got a new tattoo. Look, it could have been a tramp stamp. It could have been a lot worse. So I'm going to go get this filled in after DEF CON so I can at least still hit the pools and everything. Probably get that filled in like closer to fall. Because I'm going to have to avoid water for a month. Is every, other one? It's just a star with someone who passed away, that's all. Is every Intel AMD processor backdoored and why? No. It's not backdoored. This is where you people need to put the tin foil away, because I still need that for my casserole later, and you're using it all for your hats. Intel has what's called Intel Management Engine. I've talked about it, I've complained about it, but it does have a usefulness. The problem is, most of you tinfoil hat people just want to read the headlines and you don't actually want to get the facts. AMD has PSP. Kind of the same thing, but it doesn't really have networking, so in a way it's a little bit more secure, I guess, but I don't think it's really... I don't know if PSP is really doing the level of out-of-band management that Intel is doing. Either way, out-of-band management is the big feature that enables. Now, as an everyday user, that means nothing to you. You don't care about that. I agree with you. Intel Management Engine should be allowed to be disabled by the user in the BIOS without any funny business, like where now you have to either buy or install Core Boot or Libre Boot into your computer's BIOS in order to be able to disable it, because there is a bit that you can flip in there that has been documented even by NSA in order to flip that, because the NSA has complained about that feature too. Now, what is out-of-band management? Basically, in an enterprise, you have a fleet of devices. We need to maintain all of those devices down to the firmware level. So even if the operating system crashes, we can get in and do some maintenance remotely. That's what Management Engine actually allows for. It is designed for businesses. Should there be the option of it being disabled by users? Absolutely. Is it an intentional backdoor? No. It's a technology that happens to be able to be exploited and has been exploited. But in many cases, if you at least update your Intel management's firmware, those patches get patched as long as it's not a hardware-specific bug. And if you're wondering what the Intel Management Engine basically is, and AMD PSP, they're essentially coprocessors. Now, ME is definitely the worst of the two, I would say. PSP, from my understanding, is more like cryptographic processing and a few other things like that. And if I recall correctly, I could be mistaken, doesn't have networking, whereas ME does. Which is one reason why a lot of businesses tend to prefer Intel-based computers, I think. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've done IT endpoint management on that side. I do the security endpoint management now. But anyway, Intel Management Engine basically is a tiny coprocessor in there that is basically essentially a tiny little computer of its own. It is running the Minix operating system, which is another Unix-like operating system that used a microkernel architecture. For the quick and dirty history about this, Linus Torvalds of Linux and, what's his face? Shoot. Who made Minix? Minix creator, Andrew Tenenbaum. They got into arguments about this because Linus, with Linux, made a monolithic kernel, whereas Tenenbaum, with Minix, was more on the microkernel aspect. If you don't know what a kernel is, that's the core of the operating system. This will come back in a second here. Trust me, all right? I'm not going on a tangent. This is all related. So, Minix, the idea with a microkernel basically is that it's stripped down to its base stuff. Everything doesn't have to be packaged together, and more or less, the components that make an operating system up are more decentralized from each other. In theory, it's a much better system, but as we know from GNU Hurd, which was the original kernel that the GNU Software Foundation tried to make before Linux came in and fit into the GNU ecosystem, which is why there's the joke of, well, excuse me, sir, what you're using is not Linux, but actually GNU/Linux, because it's using the GNU ecosystem and the Linux monolithic kernel. Those people. That's where this joke really comes from, okay? So, understanding that Minix is an operating system that, because of its nature of having a microkernel, can be really, really, really tiny. You can shrink that motherfucker down really tiny, compared to a monolithic kernel, where your drivers and other modules may be packaged into this big thing. Although you can also customize the Linux kernel and shrink it down and all that, but in most cases, most people don't, because we want it working with all kinds of hardware. Anyway, it's essentially a tiny little web server sitting inside your CPU as a coprocessor with its own little operating system and everything. Is it an intentional backdoor? No. Is it a technology that has useful enterprise cases that can be exploited and has been exploited like every other technology possibly can? Yes. Now, put the tinfoil hat away, guys. Tiny Linux can fit on a floppy disk. Yeah, it can. Just a question. How different is DEF CON USA versus like Singapore or something? Oh, it's going to be worlds different. So from the grapevine of the... I don't really know that many people that have gone to those events. I knew like one. You have to understand the culture is different. American hacker culture and even European hacker culture, very different. I actually get into this a little bit in my upcoming video about what you needed to get to prepare for DEF CON. I'm going to really try to edit that video this week. It needs to go out like this weekend if possible, or at least early next week. Anyway, like the other conference I've always wanted to check out is in, I think Hamburg, Germany. The Chaos Communication Conference, which is the European equivalent of DEF CON. That is a very anti-corporate but pro-family design. It's designed so families can still come in. Now, DEF CON has kind of opened up to that idea now that, you know, people are maturing and now the hackers have kids. But DEF CON and American hacker culture is more... How do I put it? I know this is embellished quite a bit, but if you go look at the movie Hackers from 1995, granted, it's an embellishment of a lot of things. They take liberties with it. It's Hollywood. But that's kind of like what hackers were. We were the misfits, the miscreants, but we were party animals. That's DEF CON USA, and you're in Vegas. Like, Malort is a spirit that is kind of traditionally associated with DEF CON. There's a whole story about it. It tastes like bitter herbs, burnt tobacco, gasoline, and regret. There's a whole thing about it. Anyway. So you have to understand, Singapore, totally different culture than America to begin with. Their hacker culture, not the same. Bahrain, same way. You're gonna meet people that are gonna have interests, but you also have to remember there's a very different culture and history with hackers in the USA, because in the USA, a lot of the people in technology were outsiders. They were the freaks, the geeks, you know? And if you look at like other countries, I'm not saying they don't have that, but there's a totally different culture around those groups of people. So it shapes different perceptions. Like, you're not going to get into wild blackout parties at DEF CON Singapore. You're not going to have Florida Man Party at DEF CON Singapore or Bahrain. I mean, Bahrain, if I'm not mistaken, now, I could be wrong. I think they're one of the more liberal countries when it comes to alcohol. Or I could be wrong. Okay, alcohol is legal in Bahrain, but only for non-Muslims. So, like, I could drink there. But with that understanding, you ain't gonna have some of the fun that happens at DEF CON. Now, I'm not saying you need a drink to have fun. But there's drinking games. Like, DEF CON USA, there's a game called Crash and Compile. Basically, you're given an obstacle to, you know, create a program to fix. You're given obstacles and all this, and every time it fails to compile, you take a shot. And this is on a stage. Let me see. What the hell AutoMod held up? Did you see the British government asked YouTube to use an algorithm to push British government approved channels to the top of any search done by anyone in the world, and YouTube and said F off, that would hurt creators? Yeah, I saw that. Here's the thing. You ain't gonna like this, but I think Apple and Google collectively need to grow a fucking pair and pull a BlackBerry. If you don't know what I'm referring to, BlackBerry was the security phone before iPhone came out, or even graphene existed, okay? Before all these. You wanted to be secure, you got a BlackBerry. Okay? Anyway. Was it Afghanistan? Hold on. Let me make sure of that. I think it was Afghanistan. I think it was Afghanistan. I could be mistaken. There was some country in the Middle East. Yeah, here we are. Al Jazeera. It was the United Arab Emirates. And then Saudi Arabia. They were blocking the BlackBerry Instant Messenger function from working. The reason being is they refused to hand over any of the data. So they just said, fine, we're just not going to make it work. And they also even, I think, stopped selling devices there. Apple needs to grow a fucking pair and tell the investors, if you don't fucking do this shit, it's going to get real bad long term. And then just tell the UK, okay, we can't sell to you anymore. I'm sorry, we can't comply. And then basically just say to everyone, in 3 years, your iCloud and everything's going to be gone, and you're going to have to migrate your services and have a banner say it's because of the UK government and everything. You want to see fucking social change? It'll work. It'll work. They're not going to go blame Apple. Yeah, Apple has enough fuck you to money to do it. And Google should do the same thing. Could you imagine if it's like Apple is like, no, we're not going to, sell devices there. And then Google's like, yeah, we're not doing your algorithm, so we're not going to have YouTube there. And, we're no longer going to have the Play Store work in the UK either. Just immediately overnight, UK, no phone. Just shut them out. Think about that. It would be a rough state. But I would tell you this, it's like chemotherapy. Right now, y'all got a cancer with a bunch of bureaucracy in the United Kingdom. How do you fix cancer? In many cases, unfortunately, you got to take chemotherapy. It hurts the good cells, but we're also going after the bad cells. It sucks. But I think you would need to actually get enough people to stop having the free rider problem. And that's the problem you have with a lot of social change movements and things like that, is what is it they say, like 10% of the people do the work that the other 90% want, but won't ever actually do the work for, or something like that. Anyway. Oh, I know they won't. But I'm just saying, if they wanted to stop this shit right fucking now, I'm telling you, long term, they would give them big dick energy and the UK would go back home with their fucking ball. And I think that's what governments need, is they need to live in fear of their population. That is how you get a just government. There's no perfect government, there's no perfect solution, but I'll tell you this. When you fear government, you get tyranny, and when government fears you, you get just government. Sometimes I think politicians just ain't scared enough of the people. And I ain't mean that in a threatening way. I'm meaning that, like, as in, we vote you the fuck out. Okay, some of y'all may actually be like, let 'em eat cake people. I'm not in that crowd over there. I'm in the tea drinking crowd with a microphone. That people say that men should not have microphones and make podcasts in their basement. And to them, I just say, pinky's out and fuck you. Sometimes I just like let my mind just wander and see where it's gonna go. So, would you recommend trying to get referrals from people on LinkedIn? If yes, how? Thanks. No, I've never actually benefited from LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn. I post on it. I keep it active. But in most cases, no. I use it for like job hunting, talking to some friends and contacts, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. Go out there and find people. Go to Eventbrite, go to meetup.com, and go to infosecmap.com. Look up the events in your area. Go to them. Say hi to people. Meet them. Because this is one thing I think a lot of people really have lost touch with. Yes, you can make friends in the digital world, and some of them can be great friends. We've all made friends with people we played Xbox with for years that, you know, well, not all of us, I mean, many of us have, that, you know, we finally meet after years and we're best buds. I mean, Darko's one of my best friends. I see him maybe a couple times a year. Another one of my friends, I see him the same thing. I saw him last 2 years ago. He's finally coming to DEF CON. He's still one of my best buds. The point I'm trying to make here is you have to go out and actually meet people if you want to be effective in business. Because there's one thing if you're like purely digital and you're on LinkedIn, and the problem is also LinkedIn feels very, very transactional. And you also have to like pay for LinkedIn Gold to get more reach. And then here's the thing, when you're popping up in random people's LinkedIn boxes, how are you really going to establish any proper sort of connection that's going to lead to good referrals? In most cases, it ain't going to work out that well. But you go to an event in person, from Eventbrite, from Meetup, from infosecmap.com, or other places. Not just the big events. I'm not just talking like DEF CON or that. There's local events that happen all the time. Like, I just spoke at one a few weeks ago, and then right the weekend before that was Hackers Teaching Hackers. So I was at the ISSA, I was at Hackers Teaching Hackers, there was Hamvention, there was B-Sides Dayton. I'm all over the place. And then I have my local groups of, hackers. There's OWASP groups, local DEF CON groups, 2600 groups, many other things like that. Those are the people that are actually going to really help you. Random people online on LinkedIn, most of them are fake. Maybe not in terms of like, are they fake people, but they just have this fake facade. Are hotels expensive in Vegas during DEF CON? Yes, they are. So here's what happens. So B-Sides and Black Hat precede DEF CON. So the week of DEF CON, I'll get in like Saturday, Sunday, Friday, somewhere around there on the weekend, usually. Prices for hotels, about average, what I get about $80, $90 a month, okay? It's all that way till Wednesday. First day of DEF CON, Thursday, shoots to $230 a night. So Thursday, Friday, then I think it starts to come down on Sunday a little bit, or Saturday a little bit. No, wait. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, it starts to, like, the Sunday one, it drops. Like, dramatically, it drops back off. So, and that's all hotels. And the closer you are to DEF CON, it doesn't get much better, because also, here's the thing you can do to get around that. Pricing kerfuffle a little bit, or at least to cushion some of the blow. B-Sides Las Vegas and DEF CON both do something called room blocks. Basically what that is a lot of events to guarantee rooms for patrons will pre-reserve blocks of rooms. Airlines actually famously do this all around the world so that they always have hotel rooms, but sometimes even apartments or houses for airline stewardesses and stewards and pilots. Okay, so basically they're pre-reserved. If that block doesn't get used those days at a certain time, the hotel then is allowed to unlock those rooms for that period. See what I mean? So they're just kind of like a pre-reserve. Anyway, go and take those room blocks over at DEF CON and B-Sides, and you can at least absorb some of the cost. I've seen it like be anywhere from like 10 to 30% less than if you book outside of the room blocks. Are you the Norwegian? I'm not Norwegian! You know, I've been called many things, but Norwegian's not one of them. I'll take that as a compliment that you didn't think I'm American. So thank you! Hey, just got an unpaid job with a startup. Any recommendations as a software engineer? Ooh, unpaid. They're paying you in shares at least? What's the vesting schedule and all of that promises? Like, are you getting percentage of revenues, all that? I just want to make sure you ain't getting effed, my man. Or, whoa, man. Trying to be inclusive here. I mean, like, what kind of advice are you really looking for? You kind of opened it up with a broad question. Was there, like, anything in particular there? Because, like, you kind of left it open enough that even as a software engineer, I can tell you don't eat the yellow snow. I mean, that's advice. What do you think about a career in data engineering and transitioning into, I want to say ML is machine learning from 2026 plus? People switch careers all the time. If it's what interests you, that's what matters more. So people get burned out from whatever they're doing in their jobs all the time, and they have to pivot. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable. Even if that means a lower pay than what, you know, you're doing now. If you're getting burned out or whatever. Just make sure you can cover your bills, still, you know, put in money towards your nest egg and everything. And as long as you're happy and you're not hating yourself going into work, that's a win. That's not a question I can answer for you. That's a question you have to ask yourself. If it's something that genuinely interests you, and there is opportunities in there, not saying there isn't. I mean, there's opportunities all over the place, especially with the AI machine learning right now. Then yeah. Just graduated with a cybersecurity degree, got a job not in my field, learning Python and SQL right now. I mean, that's fine. Here's the thing. Sorry, I was thirsty. You drink a lot of tea, it dehydrates you. Anyway, just you gotta graduate a cybersecurity degree. So here's the thing. As I've said before, degrees are just checkboxes. Don't get down just because you're like, I got my cybersecurity degree and then I'm working basic help desk, I'm doing software or anything like that. Companies don't really care about what specific degree you really have at a certain point. They generally don't care even to start with. A lot of times with the managers, it's the HR that does at best. Cybersecurity and IT is kind of this weird place that a lot of companies will overlook college degrees, and very often they're just kind of putting it there as a nice to have. Or you'll have like, because like the job that I had, technically the past 2 jobs, including this one right now, I have, they said they needed a bachelor's degree. I don't have a bachelor's degree yet. So, yeah, again, as I've said it once, and I've said it many times, and I'll keep saying it until I can't say it no more, certs and degrees are just checkboxes. You'll realize this once you get later on in the field. And don't buy the bullshit that people are like, you need to get this cert to absolutely get this job, or you have to get this degree to do this path to be successful to do that. There's many paths to success. Some of them easier, some of them harder, some of them different. But at the end of the day, the honest truth is a lot of that is not going to depend on pieces of paper, what you know, but more often who you know and what doors can be opened for you. I, for example, was in MSP for many, many years, and I couldn't break out of it, or kind of just got in, a rut where I couldn't, go where I wanted. My mentor was who hired me for the job following that, and I was the head of IT, and I was like overseeing cyber, and she was basically grooming me to be a manager and eventually become like a CISO to work alongside her. Taught me a whole lot of things. She's the reason I broke in as a pure cybersecurity person, despite being in an MSP with a cybersecurity focus. Yeah. Thought I screwed up not getting a CS degree. That's what most data jobs want. You do enough stuff in a GitHub repo, they ain't gonna give a fuck. Trust me on that one. I'm living proof. 0.25% equity. Also, a degree is expensive poster. Yeah, it is. Unless you're in a country where it's free. If you're in a country where your education is free, get the fucking degree. My advice about degrees is primarily aimed at Americans that are going tremendously into debt that may take up most of their life to pay. And you could always get the degree later. I'm doing that right now with WGU, and it doesn't matter the institute you're going to. It's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. Because once you're in the field for a while, man, WGU is stupid easy. I gotta work on my Python course. Speaking to the person that, was talking about Python. All right, anyway. We got on a really ADHD day. Let me continue. Where were we? Okay, come on. We got some content to review. Oh, yeah, I think we were here. All right. So, Kara shared this with us. Bad news, Netflix now wants every single profile in your house to have its own email login. This is dumb. This is really dumb. Because Netflix is trying to crack down on password sharing. We get it, right? How many parents out there have kids that are not even old enough to read? Let alone have and use email. Exactly. So now parents are going to have to make a whole separate login just for each one of their kids. So I want you to think about this. Average family is what? Mom, dad, 2 kids. Or whatever combination of parent you want at the top. I don't care. There's 4 people. Average. Or 1 point something. Whatever. I don't care. You're telling me you need 4 different emails on one shared account? Oh, honey, let me log into, your personal No, you gotta log in. No more of, I'm gonna back out of my profile and then, Stupid. What is with the shitification of the internet? I swear. Alright, we got some more stuff. They embedded them. Give me 1 second. I forgot to do the audio test before I launched. Yep, okay, we're good. Sometimes the HDMI does not do the handshake properly with the NVIDIA GPU and the capture card. Alright, so. Vampire shared this.
Where a ban coming? We've already seen the banning of foreign routers for those in the US.
He is kind of quiet, just so you know.
Security updates, which kind of crazy, but kind of makes sense if you're worried about a potential backdoor or something.
Okay. I mean, this is nothing really new. I mean, I can keep watching the video, but, I mean... Oh, and I didn't see that somebody, got treats for my dog. I shall call the dogs. REA! The Rock! So, the thing about this, attackers taking over American home networks, and all that, this has been a thing that's been happening for years already with botnets. People were compromising routers. What is it? I think it was the Mirai botnet. They've been compromising Internet of Things devices. There's a whole reason why I and many businesses and other home labbers segment our entire network so that Internet of Things devices are on their own VLAN. My printer, these lights from Elgato, my thermostat, anything that does not have a full-on operating system that I can interface with is thrown on that IoT VLAN. The streaming devices have another VLAN that locks them down and isolates them as well, and the Samsung TV's in there too, because Samsung is a little chatty bitch, I'm gonna tell you that. And I don't trust that it's not sniffing out the VLAN to see what devices are on my network and kind of like survey to, collect that data, sell to marketers. But anyway, is it real that routers can detect us through walls? No, it's not that routers can detect you through walls. It's not that routers can detect you through walls. It's that radio waves can bounce off of you and paint an image of you. It's basically the concept of, radar. You can do this with any frequency, by the way. I mean, if I wanted to, I could tune these 915 megahertz devices. These are antennas, obviously. I could do the same concept. The only reason why a lot of people are freaking out about Wi-Fi is because, Wi-Fi is an unlicensed spectrum. So a lot of the experimentation tends to happen on the ISM bands, the industrial, science, and medical, which is 915 megahertz, or Wi-Fi, which is 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. And those are unlicensed spectrums where no one needs to get a license from the FCC. So it's a lot easier to experiment on there. So, no, routers are not detecting you. It's radio waves in general. They are able, because they're energy and they bounce off and they reflect off things, they can basically paint a picture of you if you know how to collect that data and process it properly into an image that depicts that. So, yeah. What was the one exploit on Netgear and TP-Link that Gamers Nexus reported on? They had some end-of-life routers that were not getting some patches. I remember what I don't remember the specifics, but it's the same old story we've heard. Which is why I also like pfSense, because I don't have to worry about the age of the hardware per se. I have to just worry about getting the software updated. Have you played any cool games recently? Yeah, I did play, what was it this weekend? We played a really cool builder, Solarpunk. Probably play that again. It's like a, builder survival game that's like Minecraft and weird, and there's like air balloons you can build, and it's not a Minecraft like with blocks, but it's an interesting indie game. Yeah, I have Watch Dogs. I played it a little. It's a fun game once you suspend reality a little bit, because they definitely embellish and take liberties on the whole cybersecurity aspects of it. I get it. It's a game. It's there for entertainment. But you should take everything that they've talked about in that game pretty much with a grain of salt. Security recurrent gig has been in IT similar years between private company and MSPs. I am a senior cybersecurity engineer doing cloud and endpoint security. Like right now, I'm basically a CrowdStrike SME. I am leading the Wiz POC. I really love Wiz. I used Wiz at my last job, so I was very gung-ho on pushing this forward. And I'm helping out the developer turned cybersecurity engineer that was trying to implement CI/CD to fill in gaps on application security that they're not aware of. Not for any fault of their own. I'm not by any means putting them down. They came from a software background, which I'm not poo-pooing. I actually look at that as a huge advantage, because I finally get to work with somebody else that actually knows at least even the basics of, like, here's Git. Here's how to run a Python command. I literally had to teach people how to use Git and how to run a Python command. Last job, I had to teach seniors how to do that. Okay? Not senior citizens, senior engineers that should already know that shit coming in. That's why I got pissed off at my last job. They didn't give me the senior job. They hired someone else that I had to train on shit that he should already know. But anyway, rant over. But yeah. So, I like it. It's great. It's pretty chill compared to the MSP life. MSP life is a little bit chaotic, but you do learn a lot. It is a great fire hose of knowledge. Engineer for most of it, now director. I don't know if I ever want to get stuck in a managerial role. I feel like my soul would slowly just atrophy. I know there's more money in it, but I'm aiming for architect. I mean, if I get architect, I'm getting closer to like the 2s in payment. Getting asked to move into a cybersecurity role. Yeah. Is sensor Samsung settings really working? There's a setting that disables your microphone and your camera. I'll have to double check that. I don't know if my TV came with it or not. I do hate the fact that everything's a smart TV though. Alright. Let's go back to the content though. Gotcha. Thank you. pfSense, what brand is that? pfSense is an open source firewall made by Netgate. So you can either buy a firewall from Netgate, the official hardware, or you can do what I did, get your own hardware, put it on your own computer, and just run that. I got my own Supermicro server and threw my own card in and everything, because it cost me half as much to do it myself than buy their official unit for my lab. To do the same 1U. What am I running it on? A Supermicro Super Server E300 8D, which is an Intel Xeon D 1518 quad-core CPU. And I have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 ECC memory. Small upgrade from the 16 it originally had, and it's still overkill for it. I didn't even need to upgrade from the 16. It was more just a matter of give it some more breathing room. Home labbing can be quite expensive. Any advice for saving, getting stuff cheaper? Secondhand. Computer user groups give you a lot of stuff for free. Like my local DEF CON group, we do a thing called Hacker Santa every year. It's literally everybody comes in with their old technology that they're not using anymore. One of my friends got a 3D printer from another friend that no longer needed a Creality 3D printer. I got a crap ton of these RISC-V boards. Just handed to me. Okay? There is like another guy that actually got a MacBook Pro that we know for sure, knowing that guy, because he admitted it, was used for penetration testing nuclear power plants. Yeah. So, get to know people. It's amazing what happens when you go outside, touch grass, and meet people. They want to become your friends. They want to do things with you. And they may want to help you even find hardware and put that hardware in or install crap in your house. Like, I have a friend that just bought a house, and we're already planning out his home lab. I'm telling him, like, dude, I can't run cables like I used to anymore. I just don't have the energy and dexterity I once had. But I can tell you exactly what you need and guide them and, you know, basically just say, do it here, push that, and spec things out for you. I don't know how to get friends. I feel like I'm too dumb to be friends with people that smart. Well, you want to know a trick? If you ever feel like you're the dumbest person in the room, good motherfucker. That means you have a shit ton of opportunity to learn. Be excited at that opportunity. Because I'm going to tell you straight up. When people ask me, like, oh, Chief, how do you know all this shit? Because when I start feeling like I am the smartest person in the room, I'm going to find another room where I can find smarter people than me and learn more shit. It's boring being the smartest person in a room. If you don't believe me, put yourself in a room with a bunch of toddlers. Okay, they might be entertaining for other reasons, but you get the point. Have a conversation with 5-year-olds, like 30 of them at once. It's cute, but after a while, you're just like, I need to actually, like, interact with adults. Same exact concept. Your mind is a muscle. Muscles need to be exercised. So, fill that fucker up. Breach, don't be the guy that just wants to collect the paycheck. Exactly. I mean, we're all here to do a job, but why shouldn't we at least enjoy the job that we're doing? Makes your life a lot more, great when you actually don't hate going to work. You don't hate what you do. I'm not saying it has to be your entire life.
Updating to your router. Now the Wall Street Journal is talking.
Okay, yeah, so he's basically just talking about the update to the router and the simple fact of, there's botnets and the same old adage. If you like it, then you should have put a patch on it. If you like it, then you should have put a patch on it. Yeah, seriously. I seriously, one of these days, we're gonna have to, do the Beyonce, thing with me. and just have like underneath it, if you like it, you should have put a patch on it. I know Attack D, that company, had it on one of their stickers, but I think we can do more justice with it. Anyway. Do you do any OT or testing yourself? Not as much as I used to. Maybe expand your knowledge and maybe get promoted or move to a lateral or L2. Yeah. Sometimes speaking up too much volunteers you. Well, you see, the thing about being the person that speaks up and is not afraid to open their damn mouth is I'll also tell them, like, this is all what the fuck you need to do. Great, you gonna do it? No, the fuck I'm not. I got enough shit. I'll tell the person that needs to do that work what to do. That's the great thing about once you get, like, more senior in the career. You're just like, no, I got enough shit. Let me get somebody else. We'll train them up.
So apparently prisoners have a larger moral code than our politicians here in Sacramento.
I could end the video right there. It's factual. It doesn't even have to be politicians in Sacramento. We could just end it in for politicians. How do you know when a politician's lying? Their lips are moving. Think there's an overlap with RF engineering and cybersecurity or automotive cybersecurity? Oh, absolutely. I tinker a lot with radio as well, and I'm starting to get more into SIGINT, or signal intelligence, on things.
And the main reason
automotive cybersecurity is a whole thing, especially now that things are getting connected.
why is because the supermajority in this state just killed a bill that would bar sexual predators from being able to run for office. Their logic behind it was because they want these individuals to be able to participate in democracy, and because the sexual registry offender list isn't an actual form of punishment.
Did I hear that right? Yeah, that's why they want to block the bill, because there are predators already in office. All the way to the frickin' top. Going on a certain island. With a guy that has a last name that starts with E and ends in "een." Aliens versus predators. What, like the joke when it's like, how about we, catch up all these child predators, and then we round up the illegal Mexicans and have them go after the predators, and they can earn citizenship. We'll call it aliens versus predators. Like that?
Form of punishment. Sex offender registry is not punishment. It is a tool for law.
Can you hack my laptop? Sure, give me a kitchen knife. I can hack that fucker. Machete makes it a little easier, actually.
Law enforcement to be able to monitor people.
That is insane. The same time that they killed that bill, they passed another bill that would bar an adult who committed a sexual crime against another adult, but if they commit a sexual crime against a child, they can still run for office.
You're not allowed to touch anyone once they hit 18 years old. And run for office. Yeah, this was definitely crafted for the Epstein fans. Would AI take over cybersecurity jobs? No. They're already finding cracks in that. And they're now hiring developers back because they're finding out their AI costs are way more than developers were.
That is crazy. And the main reason why we bring this up is because they want...
Would you say 18 expert? Yeah, that is, yeah. Out of context, that is a horrible thing.
you to forget about it over the holiday break. They want you to go and get caught up in the festivities. There's a reason why they put it all the way at the very end, so that way you forget. We cannot forget, and we can't forget because the future of California matters. And if here, the politicians have a weaker moral code than prisoners when it comes to chomos, that's a problem. And we've got to hold them accountable. So make sure you're sharing, telling people, telling your friends that you need to be involved. This is a monument.
What the fuck is in the water in California? They're going after 3D printing. They were trying to fuck up Linux. Now, with the whole ID age verification attestation. Now, so they want to protect the kids by requiring IDs to access parts of the internet. Or even their entire devices. But we don't want to protect the kids because we'd be okay with predators going in office. Look, I ain't one of those, like, right-wing people. But California, what the fuck? Like, you are really looking bad for the past few years. You're not this bastion of privacy or consumer rights or freedoms and stuff like people say. And it's upsetting. Because, like, the United States is in shitifying in different ways in different states.
The company that scraped the entire internet to build its AI just filed a letter with the U.S. Senate crying that someone stole from them. Anthropic claims that roughly 25,000 fake accounts ran 28 million conversations with Claude between April 22nd and June 5th, and they're calling it the largest theft of its kind in history. The company...
Oh no! They're stealing the stuff that we stole! Get them! Of the Linux and Flipper Zero collaboration. Well, I don't know if it's a Linux and Flipper Zero collaboration so much as what is the Flipper 1 CyberDeck BS they're trying to come out with that just looks weird. Not even political, just feels like Calo as a testing how much people will put up with. I feel like the same thing too. Fully local AI meeting note taker just dropped.
What's up, guys? So we have a privacy first AI meeting assistant, okay? And it says it has 4 times faster live transcription than Whisper and Parakeet. So
Oh, I use Whisper actually for transcription on my YouTube videos with Kaden Live. It works really, really well. I'd say like a success rate of about 95%, even with technical terms, especially with the 5070 Ti. So I'm just thinking that 5060 Ti that I have in the current server could be more than enough for audio transcription.
So this is very fun, guys. You can locally, privately record your meeting, transcribe it, blah, blah, blah. Check it out. It's all in one app. So it's all Rust. It's all baklava.
So what is it called? Meatly? Alright. Make sure. Hold on. Yoink. It's actually pretty well known. Let's see. LinkedIn, Meatly Discord, Privacy First AI, yada yada yada. Oh, wait. They also have a pro version. I'll have to check that. But I like the fact that this version's free, at least. Privacy first, cost effective, flexible, customizable, yada yada yada. They have a Windows, Mac, and Linux for... Ooh, this will be great for work. I just gotta talk to work about seeing... Because our policy is we don't want them recording anything from vendors, primarily because we're using third parties, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing as I'm just locally. Yeah, and I could use Olama on that 32 gigabyte MacBook Pro that they give us easily. You can even use... Okay, so... It is set up for NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. Cool. As well as Apple Silicon. And then Meadly Pro... What's that? Okay, so the Community Edition does that. Now I'm curious, what is Pro version? Bring your own key, keep the pipeline. Okay, so you still keep this private. Okay. Local or bring your own key. So, what's the advantage? Oh, advanced exports to PDF, docx, MD. Why do you get Windows GPU acceleration? I don't give a fuck about that. And then you get the support. So it's basically you're paying for this feature. But you know, I'm going to put it this way. If they're maintaining the community version, that means they're spending money and time to do that. And if the Pro version is just being built on top of the community version, I don't see $10 a user a month being all that bad. That's pretty much on par for a lot of other recording solutions if you wanted to go with Pro, but you don't have to. You have a community version, so it's one of those I'm going to be like, you don't need it, but it's totally fine. So, all right. Next up, what do we have? So, new Google commercial imagines a Declaration of Independence written with help from AI. Oh, God. What the hell? What is this shit? Raising armies, send notes.
John, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay, that's clever. Okay, I will say this is actually, like, not bad. I thought it was gonna be bad. King George III is outside your organization. I recommend that you deny George III's request. The only thing that needed at the end of it was... Hold up. I will show you what that needed at the end of the video. Alright, I have the perfect... It should have ended on this note to modernize it. This was a commercial. Since we're doing commercials. If you can't tell from the 480p resolution, it's a little bit old. Wait for it. That's how they should have ended it.
Here's a couple of things America got right. Cars and freedom.
That's how they should have ended that last video. That's just in my opinion. Alright, you know. Alright, so what else we got? New HTTP method. Oh god.
Is getting a new method, and that doesn't happen very often. For basically...
It's only happened, what? Aren't we on like HTTP 3?
our entire careers, the HTTP spec has shipped with the same handful of verbs we all know. Get to fetch data, post to create or send data to the server, put to replace or update a resource, and delete to remove one. But there's always been this awkward gap. What happens when we want to search? We want to ask the server for data based on a set of conditions and filters involving sorting, pagination, nested conditions, date ranges, and arrays. Now, the default method for this should be get, because you are reading and not changing anything. It works for simple cases, but the problem is get puts everything in the URL using query parameters.
Right.
URLs have length limits. If they get too long, the server will throw a 414 error code. So
I've run into that.
the next logical thing is just to put the query parameters in the request body on the get method call. Technically, that sounds reasonable, but in practice, get requests with bodies are not handled consistently across clients, proxies, servers, and firewalls. Tools reject them. Some ignore the body, and some behave differently depending on their environment. So the most common workaround became using post for searches and complex queries. But post has a different meaning, and it lies about intent. Post is meant to change the state on the server, so it's neither safe nor idempotent. And CDNs will not cache a post response because they have to assume it mutated something.
Right.
Gap, and it's exactly what the new method is here to close. The new verb is query, and it was published as RFC 10008 on June 15th, 2026. Query combines parts of get and post to get the job done. See what I did there?
I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get
Like get
Just to be fair, just because it's an RFC does not necessarily mean that it will be implemented. I mean, we have RFC... What was that?
Get.
Hold on. What was the RFC I'm thinking of? Here we are. RFC 1149 and 2549. Okay. You know what this is? A standard for the transmission of IP datagrams on avian carriers. They're talking about transmitting data packets with pigeons. It's a joke. April 1st, 1990. It's one of the famous jokes in networking. I know you have been in networking quite a while, if I can tell you about IP over avian carriers. Or its later amendment to upgrade with RFC 2549, which is IP over avian carriers with quality of service now. So now, 9 years later, also on April Fool's, we are now giving quality of service to prioritize your packets of information on your pigeons. Okay? So, with that understanding, not every RFC actually goes into play, and it takes a while until they actually, you know, get implemented. But it's still cool. It's still cool to see.
important. You are telling the server and every...
Because also you have to be on that new HTTP standard with all the web engines and everything. So it's going to be a while, I think.
Proxy in between that you're only reading, and the request can be repeated and retried without any side effects. And like post, queries carry a request body, so your filters can live in the payload instead of being crammed into the URL. Query is also safe, meaning responses can be cached, and the cache key is built from both the request body and its metadata, not just the URL.
Okay, nice.
It reached proposed standard, which is the stage where...
Okay, so it's proposed, but it's not implemented.
Implementations have started. Frameworks and runtimes are already adding support. ASP.NET Core has
Okay.
a proposal for it, and languages like Go and Rust are already adding custom method strings today, so you can experiment with it.
But it's still experimental. So the problem is we're not going to probably have this as a mature model for a few years. I'd give, like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, knowing how this goes, it's probably going to take a rollout of about 3-5 years, with larger enterprises probably taking closer to, like, I'd say the 8-year mark, possibly longer. And there's some systems that just absolutely will never get it, like homebrew applications inside of companies for specific line of business applications. Yeah. So that's neat. Don't get me wrong.
Stick around.
I'm looking forward to it.
To download the free open source alternative to Discord, Fluxer. So Discord is increasingly relying on AI chatbots to resolve its moderation issues rather.
Okay. Now I'm just curious about this. What's the big deal about Fluxer? I think I looked at this, and I think I dismissed it because it didn't have an app, I think. Hold on. Yeah, they have a Mac app, but I think there wasn't a phone app was the big issue. And I'm like, even if you're in a beta, you need to have a phone app for us to work with. Because I know the majority of my Discord use is when I am on my phone. Okay, so it's an open source client, but here's the question that I have. Can you self-host a server? So, guilds. Yeah, there's still very much, it's in its early days. Yeah, very, very early days. Like, not even enough documentation to look at it. Like, you don't even have webhooks. Like, not even the dev shit. Not emoji. Your API reference is pretty much the only thing. You don't even have authentication. Yeah, like, this is... I'm not hating on it, but I'm saying it's very, very, very far from somewhere I would say that we can really take this seriously yet, especially knowing Matrix is already out there. So the question that I'm going to have for Discord, for this as an alternative Discord, what does your application do differently? And this is a question I am going to tell everyone. Whenever you are told to go find an alternative platform, how you can determine if it's actually going to succeed or not in many cases. If your argument to get on another platform is, it's like X, but without or with Y. Some people probably just assumed I was AI right now because they did it, if not X, then Y. Not realizing human speech patterns are already like that. Funny. Anyway, if your app is not in the mindset of, well, we're just not this application, and you're marketing based on we're not that application, but you come with no unique technology, no revolutionary thing that you're doing, nobody's really going to have a reason to go to you. Like, the reason why people left TeamSpeak and stuff for Discord was the ecosystem, the environment you could move through, you could join other servers very easily, all that. IRC, it's a little bit more cumbersome. That's why Discord has taken over even in the hacker spaces. You know, Signal came along. They have a very strong privacy model versus WhatsApp when Facebook bought them. You know, and they're open. What is Fluxer's killer feature going to be? Maybe this video is going to answer it. But if the answer is we're building Discord, but you're going to be open source, I hate to say it, even as a proponent of open source, that's not a good enough reason for the mainstream. Like, people left Instagram for TikTok because it was totally different than Instagram. To the point Instagram started to change what they are to look more like TikTok. All right, let's continue. Sorry. Rant over.
Rather than hiring actual people. And that is not only hurting the job prospects of professional trust and safety agents, but also the users of Discord. I got wrongfully banned 2 days ago for ban evasion, even though I've never had an alternative account. I tried requesting a review, no response as of yet. I opened a few tickets to try and get someone to look at my case. No dice. Denied every single time. I went the route of going as far as to pay Mr. Elon Cuck 4 whole smackaroos for a blue fucking check mark so that I could DM them and get someone to look at my case. And I got someone to reply saying they'll escalate my case about...
You have to pay money now on Twitter to DM people? What the shit? There's got to be something I'm missing here. That's effed.
2 hours go by, I get 5 additional ban notices for ban evasion on the same exact account that was already permanently banned because I logged into the app to check the status of my ban. So, Discord reaches out and gives me a link to file an appeal directly on their website. I think, oh my god, this is going to fix everything. And nope, motherfucking Clyde, responds with the same canned answer every other ticket received. Then I go on to find out that Discord has been having this problem a lot recently. Like, it's a trend becoming increasingly prevalent, and it's obvious they aren't going to reverse course anytime soon. They don't have to publicly announce that they're using AI for their moderation. It's obvious! So I go digging, and lo and behold, Fluxer, not sponsored by the way, a free and open source application that looks identical to Discord and functions identical, if not better than Discord.
We're doing a one-to-one comparison. This is already not looking good. It's you notice how it's like Discord, but open source. If you come to me and say, it's like X, but with or without Y, that's not a good enough reason. I don't want to use another Discord. You get what I'm saying? Matrix, I can go and I can say, well, you're decentralized, you're federated, you own your identity on whatever server you're on, you can join different servers, and, you know, and then I can say, and then people can be like, oh, that seems pretty cool. What's it like? And I'm like, well, it's like your every other chat software we've really had. I mean, you have chat rooms and you can organize them just the same way we've had, like, in IRC and everything else over the years. I'm not saying this is a complete replacement for Discord. I'm saying it has the same capabilities, but there's a fundamental difference in what they're trying to sell.
Got a version 2 beta update half a month ago, and it's available for free on PC, Linux, Mac, Android if you download it through their GitHub, and in paid beta on iOS. But if you don't want to pay, you can install it as a web app for now using the browser version. That'll change soon. They'll release a full one.
They're called progressive web apps. I do that for my OpenAI server in my house. Not OpenAI, Olama.
Which is the name of the file type used on Androids. It'll bring you to the GitHub page, and
if
you've never used a GitHub app, Android APK. Literally, it says apps or whatever, follow the prompts, and it'll give you a Discord. Like, not a lot of paywall. People who use it, they'll...
Okay, that's great, but is it only the app that's open sourced? Like... VRP chat app. Okay. Fluxer client. I'm trying to understand. Okay, so Fluxer Gateway, Media Proxy, App Proxy. Alright, hold on. Where is this? You can already try the work on the... So this is a client. Okay, so they're still working on the API and self-hosting documentation. Okay, so they will be able to be self-hosted. But the question that I have is... Okay, you're self-hosted, but if... Are they going to be able to talk to each other? And this is the problem I think a lot, like, that creator is overlooking, is he's like, oh, I'm just going to get this app and I'm going to go move over to Discord. This is the problem a lot of users had, because it's like the Mastodon problem. It's like the, it's the Mastodon problem. Like, remember when all the users were leaving Twitter and they had to, like, now understand the whole paradigm of the Fediverse? And a lot of people got turned off by it. Yeah. I think people, and like, what was it, like, because Mastodon, even though, how may I start this again? So, Fluxer, I think, is going to have kind of the similar problems. If you have people with this attitude of it's going to be like, oh, it's, well, Discord, but open sourced. And it's self-hosted, they don't understand what that really means in the full scope of things. This guy didn't talk about the server side of it. He's talking about you just install the app and you go to the server. It's the same problem you have on Mastodon, where the majority of Mastodon users just stayed on Mastodon.social. It's the OG original server, and they wouldn't go and migrate to other servers. So, the majority of the Fediverse just ends up in this one massive self-hosted instance. It's the same thing with Matrix, by the way. I just happen to self-host my own server. They're going to have the same problem. But then also, at the same time, how is identity going to be handled in this application? Because Matrix, I have the thing I like about Matrix is I have a federated identity. I am Chief Geek 3D here, or Chief Geek 3D : ChiefGeek3D.com, because I'm on the ChiefGeek3D.com server. But if I go over to, say, Rossman Repair Group, as in Lewis Rossman, I'm now on Matrix.org server. But my identity is on my server. Am I going to have to make a new identity for each server? How is that, or is it going to be federated? How is that going to be federated? Is it going to be using its own, is it going to be using a whole new protocol invented from scratch? Or is it going to be built on Matrix? Or is it going to be using, like, these are the questions that need to be answered before I can even ever say, like, yeah, everybody go try this out. It's still too early days. I'm not hating on this project at all. It's just a little too early. So let's see. How I built Fluxer, a Discord-like chat app. This is not good already. I don't like when applications describe themselves as being like another application. It's a nitpicky thing, I know. Which Watch Dogs game did you play and did you finish it? I haven't, it's the first one. Yeah, Fluxer's a community chat app I kept coming back to for 5 years. I use Fluxer and Discord, okay. Yada yada yada. Free open source, self-hostable with an optional hosted instance run by an independent European company that pays for the open source work. So he's going with the Nextcloud model. He's competing against... Okay, so... I'm not hating on this project at all. But... he's directly going to be competing against Matrix, and Matrix has a much stronger foothold in Europe. It's even used by government agencies already. Okay, so those are the goals. So what's your goal? Fluxor's backend. Okay, this is meanwhile usable self-hosted alternative still doesn't really exist. Blah 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 blah. We kept me going back to what the backend looks like now. Most people touch every day goes through an API. It's a TypeScript service running on Node with Hono. Well, it's parts of the... Okay. The gateway is where Fluxor stops looking like a normal app. It's plain Erlang on OTP 28 and its own. It owns the live side of the system. WebSocket. Guild routing. Media lives in Rust because it's CPU heavy, memory intensive. The media proxy runs on Axum and Tokyo. Jesus. I'm not trying to hate on this, but... This really seems like... It's a lot of work. But it's kind of cobbled together. And I really want them to answer the question, why not just develop a better client for Matrix then? You already have a great protocol and an entire ecosystem to build on. Because he's not just competing with Discord. They're competing with Matrix. They're competing with a lot of other products. They're doing this exact same thing. Like... I hate to put it this way. Slack is probably on people's list of an alternative before they would think of this. I'm not hating at all. I'm just saying, like, yeah. And there's 3 languages in there. Most of Fluxor is ordinary app accounts, blah, blah, blah. And runtime, assault tolerant, highly available, yada, yada, yada. So he goes into the reasoning for all this. I think... Okay, so here's where I was getting at. Federation remains a major goal, and the order matters. People who run and use Matrix complain about specific things. Large federated rooms can be slow and expensive to join. Presence. Okay, so he does acknowledge Matrix. With account switching for custom backends and the Electron desktop app. Next client. Okay, but... I don't know. Yup, this is gonna really hurt him for the technical crowd. Optional end-to-end encryption is still planned where it fits. Personal notes, calendar data, DMs, and small groups. I don't care about the large community, but encryption should not be optional in DMs and stuff like that. It should not be optional. So what's the roadmap? I just really don't see myself, switching to this. I don't even know if I can really entertain hosting it. At least for the foreseeable future. We'll put a pin in it, revisit it in a year. How about that? Oh, look at this. Don't you love when people don't have lives and they just come into people's chat? Imagine how pathetic you must be in your life when you're like, I'm just gonna go troll people online. Anyway, moving on. Especially when we weren't even talking about whatever they were trying to troll me about. Name of the song you were playing a few seconds ago? Well, I can tell you the name of it, but I can tell you you're not going to find it. And I can say that with complete confidence. I don't know which ones. We got Mental Cage, Late Night Drive, Beat MP3, TK, Chill Beat, Floating Mindset, Hip Hop Type Beat, Wind Speak Chill Beat, BAP Type Beat, Philosopher Leaves. The reason why I know that you won't find these, these are beats I bought off of Beat Bakers. The other reason I'm using Parrot now, I'm so happy with it. Glad to be out of Bill Gates' ad OS. Hey, glad that you like it. Have you ever tried OpenSense? I don't like OpenSense because I still haven't found a powerful enough replacement for PF Blocker NG on PFSense. Technically, there is one other product like people kept recommending, but I'd have to pay for the version to have all the features I have in PF Blocker NG for free. What keyboard am I using? Well, I have all these specs in my Twitch about section, but it's a System 76 launch heavy and a launch keyboard. How do you home lab safe without risking your home Wi-Fi? I mean, it's a home lab, it's just a regular network. It's the radio stuff that might mess with it. But most of my radio stuff, I'm not directly manipulating or jamming 2.4 gigahertz. I'm at most receiving on the 2.4 gigahertz in most cases, or such, 5, 6 gigahertz, to analyze what's out there. Now, I will be doing some stuff in Wi-Fi eventually, so I can do some, like, Mac poisoning and stuff like that. On my new console, but... Recommended rig setup for heavy-duty multitasking and rendering. Depends on what you're talking about rendering. Rendering videos, rendering 3D, you doing CAD cam. Those are the questions you have to ask. I mean, I need to get answered. Alright. One last video for the night. 8,192 RISC-V cores and a homemade GPU. That's right. This guy apparently made a GPU. I think we saw...
My friends.
I think we saw the earlier version of this video when he had a lot less of them.
Consists of 8,192 RISC.
Yep, this was the guy we originally saw when he made just one of these boards, I think.
Processors running at 100 megahertz. And to control them, there are 256 even bigger cores with
videos, coding, gaming, and streaming. I mean, I'm doing fine in a 5070 Ti and a 5950 and 64 gigs of RAM for all that stuff. The stream box has a 5700X and an NVIDIA 5050. Streaming is all about the NVENC. Video, all that stuff is NVENC. And the NVENC is the same throughout the entire NVIDIA generation. You only have one NVENC chip on the NVIDIAs all the way up to the 5080, I think it is. And the 5080 is where you have two of them, and you can process twice as many streams, but it doesn't really improve all that much. So, yeah. The 70 Ti series is usually kind of a sweet spot for what you need.
GPUs. It took me half a year to develop this, and this is only a fraction of its final form. Of course I messed up things in the process and almost lost my sanity. But here's the story from start to finish. This video is sponsored by Altium. November 25, I was contacted by Altium asking if I'd like to make a project with them. Apparently they liked my M.2 cluster and would provide a budget when I designed the next cluster.
Yep, I remember when we saw the M.2 cluster.
End-to-end using the Altium developed platform. The clusters I made before were already challenging my sanity. I thought I was done with the topic, but the budget and these tools would allow for a cluster of a different magnitude. And the magnitude I had in mind was just insane. If you like to start your own creation, you should check out the Altium developed 30 days trial and the tutorial videos I linked below. At that time I was playing with a rather new chip from WCH. The CH570 is around 13 cents, runs at 100 MHz,
wow.
a multiplier and 12 kilobytes of SRAM. It even has a native USB and a radio. I tried it on another project and it's even fast enough to generate a TV signal, so leave a sub to that one. Anyways, I thought that would be a great replacement for the CH32V3 that I used before. More RAM, speed and a better instruction set. With this new opportunity, an idea emerged. What if I make a cluster with an MCU for each pixel on the screen? This is madness. But if I can pull this off, I could beat Nvidia, and Jensen Huang has to acknowledge my superior engineering skills. Alright. Having a core per pixel of a proper resolution would be insanely expensive. But what if we take the good old QVGA as a benchmark? 2 to the power of 16 MCUs would be enough, and also...
Any tips for someone getting into cybersecurity and currently mostly working blue collar and want to break into a new career? It was a pipe dream at this point. I hope this isn't a dumb question. No, it's not a dumb question. So you generally aren't going to be able to go straight into cybersecurity. You start out in IT, work your way up through that. I actually did apprentice as an electrician for a while, so I came from a little bit of blue collar myself. Be aware that your first few years in IT, they're gonna suck compared to the rest of your career. Because you're on the low end of the totem pole, you're not given a lot of responsibilities, you're not really trusted as much because you're building your skills. I don't mean like trust, like, don't put them around my purse. I mean like, I wouldn't trust this person to run this complex task on this line of business application that, you know, if it goes down, it causes financial impact to the business. You get what I'm saying? You learn, you absorb, you tinker, you home lab, you build. The thing with IT and cybersecurity you have to understand is this is not a job where you're going to go to work, clock in and clock out. You're not going to be able to do all the work you need to do at work, the learning you need to do at work for your job, and because things always change, and keeping up on the news of things, all of that. So you're always going to have to understand that, just like in many professional careers like medicine, legal, professional careers, you're going to have to invest some of your personal time to upskill yourself. Go and meet some friends in various different user groups and, you know, cybersecurity IT meetups. A lot of them are inexpensive. Like, there's one particularly called B-Sides. They're all around the world, literally. They're in tons of different cities. Look them up. They're about once a year in each city that does have them. They're organized locally. They're about $25-30 usually for a ticket. Great talks. You get to meet some people. They're any from a day to 2-day event. Now, as far as getting into the field, getting your basics, I mean, if you don't have a community or somewhere to actually mentor you, you may have to, like, start going through some education programs, hack the boxes, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not going to knock WGU either. I'm not going to say, like, you need to go to college to learn this stuff. A college degree is definitely a nice checkbox, but college is barely going to teach you everything you're going to need to know in the field. If anything, it's like tip of the iceberg, and you're still going to find you're going to have a lot of gaps that you're only going to learn in the field. So, it's going to require persistence. It's going to take work. You're going to have times you're honestly going to feel like you're burned out because you're doing a lot. And that's just, you got to learn to have self-care and maintain yourself. And you're going to have imposter syndrome. Trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years. There's a lot of times when I think I don't know shit. So, yeah.
The next logical step.
Hope that helps.
My biggest cluster with
What's up, Adam?
8 cores so far. 65,536 times 13 cents per MCU would total in around $8.5 thousand. That's
okay. Did some IT stuff in high school and going through trade school. So I take it 20s? Did you finish your degree from WGU? No, I'm still in the middle of it. I'm 71% done. I'm only in my second semester. I literally started my second semester at the beginning of this month. That's right. In one semester. 71% down.
Sounds like it could fit in my budget, at least with my naive calculations at that time. I needed to be sure.
I need to go back to actually doing my damn work because I haven't touched my school stuff since it started, but that's because of the 4th of July and everything.
I can even get the MCUs in the quantities. So I met Patrick, the CTO of WCH, who was always...
Not about running it, started this fall. You know, if you're a professional in this field, I'm not going to knock WGU. If you can actually stay on top of work and everything, it's a checkbox. I don't care what school you go to, you're not going to learn everything you need to know. You're still going to go into the field and realize you didn't learn shit in college. It's a great program that you can advance at the speed you want, and the cost is a lot less than most other options, because you're doing it at your own pace. I'm paying $4,600 a semester. If I knock out my degree in 1 year, that's less than 10 G's for a 4-year degree.
Not only assured me the quantities are available, but also offered his help providing 10,000 MCUs free of charge later on. That was amazing.
Wow.
I was pumped and started doing the planning quickly, figuring out that 65,000 is a quite big number. At this scale, everything starts to become a problem. Best example are the power demands. The MCUs alone need around 10 milliamps per core. That's a total of 650 amps at 3.3 volts.
Oh, damn!
Kilowatts. The limits of a European outlet can provide about 3 kilowatts, so that was the absolute limit, including an RGB LED per MCU and any other losses along the way. You need to consider 99.9% of the power is converted to heat. Dissipating that heat will be challenging. So I thought immersion cooling might be a thing. So I started planning around that.
The maximum diameter of an acrylic container that you can purchase easily is 0.5 meter. Making a mock-up in CAD, it turns out I can barely fit enough what I call blades in that size. Each of these blades would consist of 32 rows of 32 MCUs. That would be a total of 1024 little MCUs and 32 row controllers. In the past, I had a lot of issues with my bus systems. This time I wanted to try SPI at the lowest levels, as these are implemented in hardware and wouldn't use any of the processing power. 32 MCUs on each SPI seemed to be a sweet spot. And I could also use a row controller that had 32 pins for individual chip selects, so the row controller can directly select the client it wants to communicate with. Traumatized from data line crosstalk and signal issues on my previous projects, I put more attention to routing and shielding of the data lines from any external...
Oh, so this is Altium? Not a bad looking design app. It looks like he actually... Okay, so it looks like he's using Linux. Is this? Yeah, I think it is.
External interference. Using Altium Designer for this was very welcoming, as it allows to specify the stack up.
Or it might just be his window. I think he's just recording the window.
Signals are impedance matched. Since I had
that might just be their stuff.
In a very confined space, I used 6 layers for the first time. Messing with high-speed PCI Express lines on the MD2 project, I learned how important uninterrupted ground planes are. So I decided to put ground on the second and fifth layers, enclosing all signals on the 2 inner layers. To shield the signals completely, I put also ground between each individual signal and staggered the 2 signal layers.
No such thing as too much grounding.
Now every signal is surrounded by ground. Not sure if it's a strip line or a coplanar waveguide or a weird hybrid. But I was able to fit all lines, although it was quite cramped.
Wow. What is that, a 3-4 layer PCB?
LED. This time I picked a simple RGB LED. Addressable ones are just too expensive at that scale. These little LEDs are 1 by 1 millimeter with a nice diffusing body. They are typically used for bigger display matrices. They have a common anode, which is the positive side, and a pin for each red, green and blue. So the MCU serves as the ground, if you will. Another crucial part of the design is the power distribution. I used the bottom layer for this, since the top and bottom layers have twice the copper thickness. Running the power for LED and MCUs worked well enough.
I can only imagine how much this costs to get custom fab.
A single row and wanted to just clone that for the whole blade once I'm sure it works. And that turned out to be a good decision. I ordered the board the parts and assembled it in my lab to get quick results and be also able to test partial assemblies if needed.
Good God! If he has to solder all of those, I would go insane from that much micro soldering. Yep, I have one of those books too, because I've had tiny resistors and capacitors I've had to replace. Okay.
Okay, moment.
Used a heat table to uniformly solder them all. Can you imagine how nerve-wracking that must be? Like, look how tiny all those components are. You're placing them by hand, and then you have to bring them over. Like, you could easily trip and just F up an hours of work.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oha. To save costs on 65,536 crystals, I thought I can simply provide a 32 MHz clock from a PWM pin of the row controller. 8 MHz, 8 MHz, yes. I noticed the clock signal was really disintegrating at faster speeds. That must have been caused by the MCUs on the clock line, because the same clock on the SPI lines looked perfect. Even with the weird clock, I was able to program the little MCU.
Weird.
Yes.
Interesting. I'm an in-home install HD and PC tech, and I want to pivot to IT. I'm good with hardware, okay with software. I know basic programming at home lab, and my soft skills are good. Where can I start? You're going to start at the bottom rung in IT. Honestly, when enterprise, it's like breaking into help desk, junior network administration, junior system administration, you know. Some of the more junior or associate roles often are where you're going to start. Your first 1 to 3 years in IT and cybersecurity is basically, as I was saying, embracing the suck and doing the bitch work. And then you can start growing from there. You don't need to get a CompTIA A+ certification to start out, but it can't hurt. You don't need to go to college, but if you're thinking about it, WGU's not too bad, but I kind of feel like they're more geared towards, like, you've already been working in the field and trying to accelerate it, but they have people that start out. But yeah, home labs are great. You've got the, was it Try Hack Me or Hack the, which one's the one not in the controversy mods? One of the two is not in the controversy about AI. E is the one not in the controversy. A lot of it comes down to just pushing yourself. All right, let's see what we have here.
Very dim. I can see the red very dimly. Oh, yeah, this is bright enough. The LED was working fine with the PWM, even with 1K ohm currently.
Wow!
It's really thrilling to see it
cool.
Yeah.
I know y'all are like, what, Chief? It's RGB, but you gotta understand, he programmed the 3 pins to rotate like that.
But then the problems started. Some of the MCUs refused to boot at all, and others stopped working. But why is this? This is our initial one. Strangely, touching the MCU made it boot. Huh? I simply had to switch the MCU clock source to bypass mode for the external clock source. Working with CH32V MCUs before...
Wait, how did they turn on by touching them?
My head. But to my shock, on checking the clock section of the CH570 series, that option wasn't offered. Not only that, the clock pins have a maximum rating of 1.4 volts. No wonder the clock signal was chopped to pieces. There seemed to be no way around the crystals. I simply board with a single MCU and crystal in deadbug mode. Right, let's add the jumpers. This is little MCU. And that worked. Woo! And this is Biggie. Whoop. That mistake set me off a few weeks for a redesign and another spin of the test board, fitting an additional crystal.
This is the part that, like, really pains me when every time I'm like, oh, I want to start getting into hardware. That little mistake, he said, set him back weeks. Because every time you do a prototype, it's like, great, we've got this, you know, breadboarded out and everything. We'll get it mocked up in KiCad, send it out. Cool. Fuck, I forgot one trace. Goes to KiCad, makes the file, goes to Fab, 2 to 3 leaks later, gets that. Fuck, I need to add a capacitor here. You see the point? That's the part that annoys me, because, like, at least when I'm tinkering with a lot of the stuff I do, I can fix the stuff. And it would bother me if I'm sitting there for like 2 to 3 weeks and my ADHD would be like, we forgot that this thing even existed.
The footprint in that already cramped design was really challenging. The new test board arrived and the MCUs worked finally. Oh yes, okay. I didn't waste any time and finished the design of the blade. Did
he just do Star Wars, basically?
To hit the limits. The complexity of the finished design just overwhelmed the server of the manufacturer. Over 10,000 vias and 5,000 components per board couldn't be handled. I had to divert from my original plan and split the blades. 2 boards side by side were not seamless anymore, but they would barely fit in a planned container. I also had to pivot to smaller PCI Express connectors for the interface and reorder those parts. Uploading these Gerbers worked finally. As a test, I ordered only 4 assembled boards and 1 bare PCB for a little fee of 400 euros including shipping and taxes. At this point, I got a little suspicion that I might have been too optimistic with my time and cost estimates. I quickly made an interface.
That's how it goes for hardware. I know that from ham radio. Whatever you think you're gonna pay, triple it. Quadruple it. It's better to overestimate. What is it? It's better to underpromise and overdeliver than overdeliver and underpromise. Or no. Over promise and under deliver.
Test board that I would assemble at home, so it would arrive quickly and I would be ready to test whenever the blades arrive. When they finally showed up, I was happy to hold months of hard work in my hands. Look at this. This is the final form. So cool. Yeah, that's my
Oh wow.
I assembled the interface test board.
Okay, so he got the boards fully assembled.
Reverse any voltage and tested to program the level 2 MCUs for the first time. 3? Yes. Until this point,
I also forgot to show you another piece of hardware that came in this week. I'll do it next stream, probably the NRF 52840 that I got for the U console as a USB stick.
tested the signal integrity, but didn't take the time to test
I just realized that
between the MCUs. That turned out to be the next big mistake. Since the SPI between level 0 and level 1 didn't want to communicate, I hooked it up to the oscilloscope and noticed something worrying. Oh, what is that?
Unstable single?
The MOSI signal halved in voltage. With the 50 ohms between the MCUs, that meant both were driving the signal. MOSI. Law number 1 of electrical engineering: no matter how hard you try, you will get RX and TX wrong on the first try.
That'll happen! I remember in high school when I was making PCBs, shit annoyed the fuck out of me.
This is correct. But somehow during all those redesigns, this happened. I usually don't hesitate showing my stupid mistakes on the internet, but maybe this lets you feel a little less self-conscious when things like that happen to you. The positive thing is, because I put the resistors in series to reduce reflections, I can easily botch that. And since I ordered only 4 assembled pieces, the effort is manageable. Oh yes. The botch worked and I was able to test the maximum clock on the SPI. At 15 megabits, the CH570 started to get problems. At around 7.5 megabits, I noticed some glitches, but the communication was stable. At this point, I was happy to see that my design allowed for a clean signal shape, and it wasn't the limiting factor of the design. To test my power distribution on the board, I needed to program the full blade. This time I put each individual programming pin on the back of the board. Combining them and trying to upload at once caused a lot of problems last time. If you think I would upload the firmware to each of the gazillion MCUs by hand, you're wrong. I thought, let's automate that. My Bumblelab printers are the only ones with enough build volume to reach all programming pads in Y direction. I printed a frame that would hold the blade and printed a pogo pin arm that would attach to the print head. Cool. I also printed a little bracket for the interface test board to reduce the stress on the edge connector.
That makes sense.
Ooh, nice. The interface test board will help to supply the board with...
You know, honestly, what did he do the connector?
To reduce the edge connector.
He could have gone with a wider connector. Because what are those? That looks like a 4X? Yeah, you could have gone with an 8X and possibly... Yeah, an 8X. I don't think you could fit a 16X, and that could have added the stability, but I don't know.
Ooh, nice. The interface test board will help to supply the board with power needed for the programming. My new DP100 power supplies are so cool. They're able to supply enough current for this. If you're interested in any of the tools I'm using here, please check out the links below to support the channel. Now I needed to control the printer. Unfortunately, Bumblelab printers don't have a USB connection. The Home Assistant integration and Node-RED with dashboard help to set up a little calibration interface.
This is why you only support open source printers. I'm a Prusa snob.
With the right increments to navigate between the program pins, I can set the starting position. A little of vibe coding helped with getting a base for also controlling the printer from Python. Yeah. To upload the firmware, I'm using OpenOCD that's also used by the Moon River Studio 2. The Python program just executes OpenOCD as a sub-process and scans the output if the programming was successful. I improved the tool more and more incrementally, as it would miss a few MCUs sometimes. Trying to adjust its position slightly until it succeeds helped.
Yeah.
I tested the speed again with a full blade. 15 megabits per second was the absolute maximum. Anything beyond that would need overclocking. I was sure now the blade was working with the fixes, so I finally placed an order for another 15 blades. That was what I was able to manufacture with the remaining parts I had on stock. Purchasing the 60,000 MCUs turned out to be more complicated, as I needed an agent in China for that. It's a long story, but in the end Quindor from Intermittent Technology hooked me up with Allnet, who helped to order the MCUs eventually. The next step was the base, where all blades are...
You need an agent in China? Why do you need an agent in China to manage this? I don't know.
Connected. Processing all the buses simultaneously would be a great challenge. I got some FPGAs, test ports for that, etc. I had just to split the project to get anything finished in a timely manner. With the
was that a TRNG? You got a true random number generator?
I could just start with a 16-blade version and just switch the base later for a 64 and 128-blade version. So for the 16-blade version I just repeated what I did on the other levels of the hierarchy. Level 4 would be the root this time, connecting to USB on the other side. As you can see, I decided to supply the baseboard with XT60 connectors. It's simply the most economic option. At scale, even the cabling end up costing hundreds of bucks. I might have...
Yeah, I would have preferred Anderson power poles, but I can see your logic there, Sheeper.
Over-engineered the power in the end, because I planned in the option to have different voltages for the MCUs on the lower levels, as well as a different voltage for the LEDs. To get enough current for the final build, I decided to start with the Corsair 3 kilowatt PC power supply. From there...
Didn't know they made them that big, and they're definitely something you cannot buy in the USA, because United States outlets on 15 amp circuits at most do 1800 watts under full load. And I think 2400 on a 20 amp circuit. This is why we need to move to 220 volt. We need to move more to the European, circuits. Have a better load.
That, using DC to DC converters to get down from the high current 12 volts to insane current 3.3 volts. I wanted something really safe and reliable, so I opted in for some Murata.
Ain't much safe when you're dealing with 600 amps.
95% efficient, up to 30 amps. They were just offering the most amps for the buck, and I needed a lot. I designed the board around that, what felt like a project on its own, so I probably make another video on that. I made 20 of those, which should be enough for the 80 amps we need for version 1.
At this point, I like to take the time to promote Alcium Develop a little more. I agreed to show the requirements portal, the mechanical design and integration tools, as well as the BOM portal. I use the tools for months now and they are super useful, but I rather like to talk about the features I personally like the most. First of all, the multi-channel design. Just using the keyword repeat instead of cloning the subsheet 32 times is so much cleaner in the design. The blade design is so complex, yet the nested schematics are so simple and the system generates and tracks the instances automatically. Where Alcium really shines for me is actually the PCB design tools.
I'll have to try that out, but yeah, let's continue on.
The blades and the baseboard felt like
get to the final project here.
Oh, look at that, version 0.4. Alright peeps, this is amazing. The base was actually ridiculous.
What?
I'm not even sure how they were able to manufacture that with a 0.1mm trace precision.
Wow!
This is the base.
That's insane.
I placed the programming pads underneath the level 4 MCU. Oh well. Thankfully the flatback has exposed pins, so I can attach wires to it. Assembling that I used partial stencils. That was a nice tip from chat.
Looking good.
I was surprised how unproblematic the assembly went, but it was a lot of hand soldering. Now to the housing. That was completely winged with Blender. I needed to split this humongous thing. Using threaded rods and staggering the parts went better than expected.
What we got here?
You know, this is part of the reason why I want to move to Europe, is get a better power grid. But I could probably more easily just build a house to spec what I want, but I need more money for that. Hopefully that'll be a goal for my 40s.
Converters are just mounted along the perimeter for cooling and connected with tons of cables. Just seeing it to come together was unbelievable to me.
I guess that works. Yeah.
Now you might ask yourself, what about the submerged liquid cooling? It's not off the table yet, especially for a denser build. This whole thing can be put upside down on top of a container, but it turns out most of the transparent submerged cooling liquids were discontinued because they are these nasty forever chemicals. Getting feels like a new quest. And the hardware for the pumps and the cooling will also add another $1,000 to the build. I will go with air cooling for now.
Jeez.
Whoa.
That's interesting. 6 months to get this working. So now let's see the performance.
Only the hardware build of version 1, the software, the struggles and failures there deserve another video. And I'm glad to see that this project seems to succeed. Please subscribe to find out what this cluster is actually capable of. This will also help supporting the next version with 32,000 MCUs. The parts are already waiting. Thanks to Altium for supporting the project, and thanks to my patient supporters that made this possible.
I definitely gonna have to, see the follow-up, because we saw the small V whatever when he did the M.2, just as an idea, like, could he do this? Now he's upscaling it, and I want to see the performance of that, because that's a much bigger unit. But yeah. Anyway. It is getting late, everybody. Thank you all for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on all of my socials. The Discord and the Matrix are in the links in bio. And if you're on Twitch, stick around for the raid. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, Blue Sky, Kick, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. The links are in bio for all the socials. Love you all. Stay safe, happy hacking, and the next official scheduled stream is Sunday night. I may do some earlier, but don't bank on it, because I gotta do some schoolwork to catch up on, and I gotta edit some videos for y'all. So there'll be more videos coming on YouTube, and that will mean that generally within a few days after a YouTube video is released, you start getting clips on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, but you're in the Discord and the Matrix server, you get alerted of that. So, love you all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. See you later.